Chapter 430. A light drizzle began to fall. The rain in spring was always unending. The raindrops slowly flowed down along Qin Yin's delicate facial features. She blinked her eyes and lowered her head to wipe the rainwater off her face. She continued to look at the rising demon wall in the distance. On the side, Chu Chu, Feng Jixing, Xiang Yu, Su Yu, and the others stood guard. "Your Highness." Su Er cupped her fists and said, "Chen Feng's main force is in front of us. It seems like Chen Feng wants to defeat us at our strongest defense." "This arrogant demon marshal." Xiang Yu gritted his teeth and said. Qin Yin squinted her beautiful eyes and said, "Our top priority is to know Chen Feng's thoughts. Why did he build such a high wall? Duke Lan, grandfather, can you guess it?" Tang Lan held onto the battlement as rainwater slowly flowed down her aged palm. Her pair of turbid eyes looked into the distance and said, "The demon's siege weapons are not excellent. This is also the reason why their siege ladders and siege towers have not been able to break through the steel protective wall. If they had cast a layer of steel armor on the siege towers, I believe that the steel protective wall would have been broken long ago." In this old man's opinion, Chen Feng's purpose of building such a high wall is to stand up to us and increase the range of the catapults so that they can throw stones at the wall. Qin Yin's fragrant shoulders trembled slightly and said, "If that's the case, then it's not that simple." At this moment, Su Muyun suddenly staggered and his expression changed drastically. "What's wrong, grandfather?" Qin Yin hurriedly asked. Su Yu also supported her father and asked, "Father, what's wrong?" Su Muyun's hand trembled slightly as he pointed at the demon wall in the distance and said, Can you guys imagine what would happen if the demon's catapults were to throw a lot of huge stones? If it's not huge stones, then what are they?" Feng Jixing was startled. Qin Yin was exceptionally intelligent and had already thought of it. She was startled and said, "They will throw living things over? A living creature?" Xiang Yu was stunned. Su Muyun nodded. "If they throw living armor demons, how are we going to block them when tens of thousands of armor demons fall from the sky and land on the inside of the steel wall?" "Heavens!" Feng Jixing suddenly gripped the hilt of his saber and said, Chen Feng couldn't have really thought of this. Could he? It must be." Tang Lan's face was pale. She looked at the earth wall that was continuously being built in the distance and said, "Their wall is already close to 20 meters high. The steel wall is 45 meters high. In addition to the projectile ability of their catapults. It should be time. We need to make a decision as soon as possible. Otherwise, I'm afraid we'll be caught off guard." "Got it." Qin Yin's eyes dimmed as she said, "The steel wall is no longer safe. Grandfather, Elder Lan, I will send someone to escort you out of the steel wall. You should return to the imperial capital first." Su Muyun was aghast. "Xiaoyin, you... Grandfather, you're already so old. You should have a good death instead of dying on the battlefield." Qin Yin's eyes were red as she looked at Su Muyun and said, "Grandfather, Xiaoyin has no relatives left. I can't just watch you die." Su Muyun's body trembled and tears streamed down his face. He said in a low voice, "Su Yu, all the troops in Muyu City are now under your command. You must protect Xiaoyin and guard the steel wall." "Yes, father." Soon after, Su Muyun and Tang Lan left the steel protective wall under the escort of the guards and disappeared into the curtain of rain. "Your Highness, why didn't you leave?" Feng Jixing frowned and said, "It's the fate of us soldiers to die on the battlefield. You're the Empress. You really shouldn't stay here. No, if I leave, the morale of the army will be in chaos. If I don't leave, Chu will be here to protect me." "All right then." When Feng Jixing raised his head again, he saw creaking sounds coming from the distant earth wall of the demon race. As expected, a huge catapult had been pushed onto the earth wall, followed by the second, the third, and more, densely packed together. Xiang Yu was slightly stunned. "What do we do now? Do we just sit here and wait for death?" Qin Yin said faintly, "All the military power of the empire will be under Feng Jixing's command. Now, General Feng, you're the supreme commander at the front line. You will be in charge of this war." Feng Jixing couldn't help but laugh bitterly. Your Highness, you're really making things difficult for me, Feng Jixing. To be given such a command in the face of danger. This crisis is too great. With that, Feng Jixing turned to the group of generals and said, "Order all the soldiers to change into shields and raise them high above their heads to form a giant shield. When the demons fall, use the shields to throw them back down the steel wall. If the shields aren't enough, use a spear to press against the ground and aim in the direction of the demons. If they dare to fall, turn them into barbecued skewers." "Yes, Commander." Everyone nodded. Feng Jixing looked behind him and asked, "Zhang Wei, how much black beech oil do we have left?" "About 10,000 barrels." "Commander, what's wrong?" "Pour the black beech oil into the ditches in the city and send people to dig more ditches. Make sure that there is a ditch every 3 meters. Also, we have already poured the black beech oil. Search the steel walls for all the materials that can ignite the fire. Once the rain stops, spread them all out." "Yes." Zhang Wei's face was pale as he said, "Commander, what are you doing?" Feng Jixing clenched his fists and said indifferently, "The steel wall cost the Empire 500 million Jingrin coins. Even if it's destroyed, it must be worth it. Go and do it immediately. In addition, remove all the arrow boxes and ballistae from the city and place them in the unicorn forest outside the steel wall. Prepare to fight the demons to the death." "Yes." Pong! A catapult suddenly made a loud noise. What it threw wasn't a huge rock but a pitch-black object. It was an armor demon with a hunched body. It curled up like a beetle and relied on the hard armor on its back to protect its weak parts. It landed on the steel wall in a very strange curve. Clang! Feng Jixing unsheathed his long saber and waved it in the air. Immediately, the armor demon that was thrown over was dismembered in the air. Everyone laughed and cheered. However, the sound of catapults kept ringing. More and more armor demons were thrown from the sky. Soon, the guards on the city were tired of dealing with them. On the ground, the siege towers came again. It was like adding snow to snow. "Block them, you must block them for me." Feng Jixing's face was cold. He kept charging into the crowd with his wind cutter, chopping the armor demons into pieces one after another. Meanwhile, Xiang Yu gathered his chaotic force and used his bloodthirsty spear to launch a series of penetrating sanctuary attacks, piercing through the armor demons that had fallen on the city. Countless armor demons fell from the sky and smashed onto the shields of the soldiers on the city, or collided with the protruding spears. Under the huge impact, they were pierced into a bunch, but most of them rolled on the city or inside the city and started killing wantonly. "Ha-ha!" A familiar laughter came from below the city wall. Nobody knew when a demon in golden armor appeared. It was Qianfeng. With a roar, the Grandmaster-level demon power on the blade surged out and bombarded the iron gate of the steel wall. Bang! The city wall was shaking crazily. The iron gate couldn't withstand Qianfeng's attack and was directly pierced through. Qianfeng jumped up and appeared on the ladder with a group of advanced demon warriors. He smiled at Qin Yin on the city wall and said, "Your Highness Qin Yin, we meet again." Roar! A 4-star demon warrior rushed over with a battle axe. With a roar, he swung the axe at Qin Yin's shoulder. Bang! The battle axe was suddenly deflected, and a dragon-shaped energy crystal shield appeared beside Qin Yin. It was the third form of the Dragon Slayer incantation, the Sacred Dragon Shield. Qin Yin's purpling sword struck out at lightning speed, and with the power of the true dragon god-binding chains, it pierced through the demon sex expert's shoulder. With a pft sound, blood splattered everywhere. However, the protective aura around his body was also very strong, or else the purpling sword would have pierced through him. He didn't expect this delicate and beautiful empress to have such a cultivation. The demon warrior took a few steps back and stopped in midair on a cyclone. Qianfeng's roar came from behind him. "Idiot! Do you think Qin Yin is so easy to kill? Get back here." The demon warrior quickly retreated, but Qin Yin suddenly rose up, and her sword fell from the sky like a meteor shower. "You want to kill me? Come on." He instantly revealed his arrogance, and cyclones formed by the demonic aura wrapped around his body. The cyclones wrapped around the Ziying sword and dragged Qin Yin down the city wall. But Qin Yin wasn't that easy to deal with. She shook her hand lightly, and her beautiful face was filled with killing intent. A god-binding chains appeared in the air and pierced through the demon warrior's thigh. "Your Highness, danger!" Chu Chu descended from the sky with the power of the holy sky realm. He grabbed Qin Yin's shoulder and threw her onto the city wall. He then chased after her and opened his palm, shouting, "Die!" Buzz! The fire cauldron opened, and the light from the martial soul shot out in all directions. The raging flames instantly blew the demon warrior into pieces. Bastard! Qian Feng was infuriated, and his arms were filled with demonic aura. His blood-red eyes were filled with anger, and his sword carried boundless demonic aura as it slashed towards Chu Chu's back. With Chu Chu's cultivation, he suddenly jumped up in the air and stopped his body. The fire cauldron covered his body, and he pushed out with both palms. Raging flames rose into the sky and collided with Qian Feng's attack. Bang! The energy storm suddenly exploded, and the bricks behind him were all turned into dust. The center of the steel wall was destroyed, and the wall was definitely going to fall. Qian Feng spun around and retreated. The demonic aura in his body surged, and his blood and qi surged. He said with a stern gaze, "Fire Cauldron Chu Chu, you really live up to your name." Chu Chu stood proudly in the wind, and his sleeves fluttered in the wind. He said indifferently, "The demon race's monster is only SOSO. Humph." Qian Feng slowly retreated, and pointed his sword at the steel wall, and said, "Today, we must break through the city and capture Qin Yin alive." Chapter 431. The fierce battle lasted for 2 days and 2 nights. When the spring rain stopped, the fortress that was protected by the steel walls was already filled with armored demons. The entire city was filled with the figures of the Empire's soldiers and armored demons. The sounds of fighting and screams were continuous. Arrows were constantly falling from the sky. That was the attack launched by the winged demon army from the sky. Bang! A section of the city wall collapsed. This steel wall that cost 500 million Jinin coins was ultimately unable to stop the invasion of the demon race. Among the broken bricks of the city wall, countless soldiers and armored demons were still fighting, as if they would never stop. On the main road of the fortress, a group of Imperial Guards surrounded the Empress and retreated. The commander of the Imperial Guards, Qin Yen, carried a long spear and was surrounded by the radiance of the dragon scale armor. He said in a low voice, "Your Highness, quickly leave the city. I will hold them off for a while. You have to be careful. Quickly follow me." Qin Yin said, "Got it." Qin Yen urged his horse to turn around and rushed over with his long spear. The radiance of the dragon scale armor expanded greatly, protecting Qin Yen and his horse. The long spear was thrust out 3 times in a row, piercing through the throats of a few armor demons. At the same time, the dragon scale armor was continuously shaken, and golden radiance continuously burst forth. This also caused the youngest commander of the Empire to frown, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Fortunately, a large group of soldiers and horses charged over from the back. It was the group led by Feng Jixing. "Blow the conch horn. Retreat." Feng Jixing ordered loudly. Very quickly, the unique conch horn of the Empire sounded in the city. This was the signal for a general retreat. A group of Imperial Guards carrying shields took on the task of bringing up the rear. They retreated step by step from this city that had already been occupied by the demon race. Behind them, the black mass of armored demons attacked wildly. There were at least 10,000 armored demons in the fortress. In addition, there were about 1,000 soldiers of the Empire. "All of you, get out of the city," Feng Jixing ordered loudly. Qin Yen had no choice but to lead the soldiers out of the city. Feng Jixing, on the other hand, dashed to the top of the inner city gate in 2 or 3 steps. With a quick spin of his wind cutter, he chopped off the noose on the iron gate with a dang sound. The iron gate fell down with a loud bang. When he looked into the city again, He saw hundreds of Imperial Army soldiers being surrounded by the armor demons, constantly being besieged and killed. "Commander!" Achillearchus' face was covered in blood, but he still waved his saber and shouted, "Hurry up and leave! If we die, then we die. Commander, you're so precious. You can't die here." Feng Jixing gritted his teeth and rushed up the walls of the inner city step by step. He looked back at the Imperial army that was being massacred in the inner city. Tears swirled in his eyes as he muttered, "Brothers, your sacrifice will be worth it." Shwa shwa. A wisp of flame appeared on the edge of the saber. Feng Jixing launched a fierce strike at a group of armor demons who rushed forward to take down him. A commander-level battle general. Boom! The saber light cut open the bodies of a group of armor demons, and the flames fell on the ground. Immediately, the black beach oil in the city's ditches quickly ignited and spread everywhere. In an instant, the entire mountain forest stronghold with steel walls became a sea of fire. It was unknown how many Imperial soldiers were still trapped inside, but it was certain that more armor demons would die in this sea of fire. Feng Jixing carried his saber and jumped down from the city wall with bloodshot eyes. He took the warhorse from his subordinate and mounted it, saying, "Retreat! Wait for the demons in the unicorn forest. Yes." Everyone left one after another. In the distance, there was only the rising smoke from the fortress and the remnants of the battle that was still going on in the fortress. Feng Jixing's face was livid. He didn't know how many soldiers of the Empire had been burned to death by this fire, but he knew that if this fire didn't start, the devil race would definitely charge straight in. By then, even Qin Yin wouldn't be able to escape. When night fell, the sparks in the unicorn forest lit up. The temporary central army tent was extremely simple and crude, and the neighing of warhorses could be heard in the surroundings. Qin Yin sat quietly in the commander's seat, looking calm. Beside her, Chu Chu, Feng Jixing, Xiang Yu, Su Yu, and the others were also silent. In the end, Zhang Wei could not bear it any longer and said, "The steel protective wall has already been broken. The intelligence from the front is that there are at least 100,000 demon soldiers quickly gathering. Before long, this 100,000 army will appear in the unicorn forest. How should we stop them?" Xiang Yu said, "Your Highness, I suggest that we withdraw and defend Wugu City. Wugu City has been operating for many years. The city is strong and has abundant food reserves. It can be used as a strong city to defend." A trace of displeasure flashed in Su Yu's eyes. "There are still 4 or 5 days to travel from here to Wugu City. The cavalry can quickly reach Wugu City, but the infantry is destined to be hunted down and killed by the demons. We still have nearly 300,000 troops in our hands, and almost 80% of them are infantry. Do we want to bury these Imperial main forces?" Zhang Wei said, "Moreover, there is no continuous city pass around Wugu City to block the demons. Chen Feng is so cunning. He can command the demon army to bypass Wugu City and directly attack the Imperial capital." Xiang Yu's face was ashen. Apart from this method, there is only a decisive battle. Qin Yin slightly frowned and asked, "General Feng, what do you think?" Feng Jixing clenched the hilt of his sword and said indifferently, "It's time for the decisive battle. This subordinate has already mobilized people to dig and arrange traps in this area as early as half a month ago. Moreover, we have 800 arrow boxes and more than 300 ballistae. All of them have been arranged in the unicorn forest area. On flat ground, the arrow box's penetrating power can be maximized. As long as the demons dare to attack, we will send all the cavalry in our hands to deal with them. We will use arrow boxes, ballistae, traps, and so on to continuously consume the demons and kill all their armor demons. Let's see what else Chen Feng can use to fight us." "Really? Do we really have to fight the demons?" Tang Lu looked aghast and said, "General Feng, you have also seen the fighting strength of the demon army. Do you really think our cavalry can compete with the armor demons? Otherwise?" Feng Jixing's eyes were ice cold. He raised his hand and pointed to the west and said, "Five Valley City, Lanyan City, Qihai City, Muyu City, and hundreds of cities and thousands of counties of the empire are there. If we don't fight to the death with the demons here today, are we going to watch helplessly as the Empire's territory is trampled by the demons and our people are slaughtered by the demons? Lord Tang Lu, don't forget that we are wearing the Empire's military uniform and should do what we should do. On the side, Imperial Guard Deputy Commander Xiahou Sang cupped his fists and said, "Reporting to Your Highness and Lord Commander, we have just received a letter saying that Commander Lin Muyu of the Longden Army Camp is rushing over from Lanyan City with 110,000 elite troops. They will arrive at Five Valley City in about 5 days to reinforce us." Great. Feng Jixing's eyes lit up and he said with a smile, "As long as we resist the Qianfeng Corps here for 5 days, when Yu's 110,000 troops arrive, we will definitely be able to turn defeat into victory." A smile finally appeared on Qin Yin's beautiful face and she said, "Everything will be according to General Feng's arrangements. Yes, this general will not disappoint the Lord." Early in the morning, the faint cries of strange beasts came from the unicorn forest, but no one paid attention to the wild beasts and the beautiful flowers and trees in the surroundings. A thin mist shrouded the middle of the forest, turning into a trace of rain that fell on the armor and battle robes. The densely packed Imperial heavy cavalry all stood beside the war horses, holding weapons in their hands, their faces full of solemnity. A little further away, there were 12 square formations of heavy shield and spear battalions, all equipped with heavy shields and spears. Every 5,000 people formed a circle, forming a heavy armor battle formation in the forest. In the mist, Qin Yin, Suyu, Tang Lu, Tang Tian, and the others were all standing on the viewing platform that couldn't be considered too high. The corners of Xiang Yu's mouth curled up and he said with a smile, "Is this the Chenkuan battle formation passed down by ancestor Xiang Wenian?" "That's right." Feng Jixing nodded and said, "The Chenkuan battle formation grows and grows endlessly, and it is very difficult for the demons to break through our dense battle formation in this forest terrain. The mist is very thick, and the demons can't see clearly. Neither can we. But to use the drum to direct the changes in the battle formation, we should already have the advantage of the right time and the right place." Xiang Yu couldn't help but sneer. "I didn't expect General Feng to have studied the ancestors' battle formation so thoroughly." Feng Jixing frowned and didn't say anything. At the side, Qin Yin said, "General Feng, what are our chances of victory?" "About 30%. Feng Jixing's expression was solemn as he said, "The Armored Demon Legion has a large number of people, and they also have the cooperation of the Winged Person Legion and the high-level demons. Even if we use the Chenkuan battle formation, I'm afraid we won't have more than 50% chance of victory." Su'er was startled. Then what's the meaning of us fighting the demons in the Unicorn Forest? Consumption. Feng Jixing's handsome face instantly surged with hatred, and he said, "The demons have trampled on our empire's mountains and rivers. We will fight the demons sooner or later. The meaning of this battle is to kill 40 to 50,000 armor demons even if we lose 100,000 soldiers and horses of the empire. Only in this way can we create the only chance of victory for Yu's Longdan army camp." Suyu was startled and didn't say anything. Xiang Yu, however, sneered and said, "I didn't expect General Feng to be so selfless. Is it to create an opportunity for Commander Yu to make a great contribution by fighting the demons to the death here? The brotherhood of General Feng has really reached the extreme." Feng Jixing couldn't help laughing and said, "Why? Marquis Pingnan is not convinced? If your people have the ability to deal with and win against the same number of armor demons, Feng Jixing, will give up the military power. Do you have that ability?" Xiang Yu gnashed his teeth and remained silent. Indeed, although he was conceited, he also knew the power of the armor demons. Moreover, there was the existence of an invincible commander like Qianfeng. In addition, the Seven Seas City army was indeed far less elite than Lin Muyu's Longdan army camp. If they fought against the same number of armor demons, they would definitely lose. However, Lin Muyu had some chance of winning. Dong, dong, dong. In the distance, the deafening sound of the war drums of the demon race came. The war drums of the empire were all made of cowhide, which was dull and penetrating. However, The war drums of the demon race were all made of a strange animal skin. When they were beaten, it was like thunder, making people unable to bear the earth-shattering sound. Chapter 432. It's here. A faint pulsating sound came from the ground. Feng Jixing suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the impenetrable fog in the distance. He said, "War drums, enter the formation. Dong dong dong." The Empire's cowhide war drums began to reverberate rapidly. Meanwhile, the 60,000 Imperial infantrymen of the 12 Cosmos battle formations rapidly changed their formation in the vast forest. They pointed their spears at the perimeter, raised their shields, and narrowed their eyes. Their faces were full of fighting spirit. Qin Yin's hand unconsciously grasped the hilt of her sword. Her starry eyes looked into the distance. Her spirit sense transmitted a trace of pulsation. The true dragon god-binding chains hovered around her arm. She seemed to be able to sense the movement and arrival of the armor demons better. Chu Chu pondered and said, "The battle has begun." In the distance, dense roars drifted from the dense mist as armored demons rushed out of the mist one after another with battle axes, spears, and huge sabers. They roared and rushed towards the crowd. However, the enemies in front of them were as hard as a tortoise shell. When the armored demons roared and rushed forward, they could only crash onto the shields. Closely after that, they were pushed away by the shields and spears of 10 to 20 people. Bang bang bang. The sound did not stop. The armored demons kept attacking the Qian Kuan formation like a tide. Feng Jixing squinted his eyes and said, "Beat the drums, rotating formation. Dong dong, dong dong, dong dong." The war drums began to beat rhythmically. Immediately, the 12 formations in the distance began to rotate. The soldiers took turns to bear the impact of the armor demons. This allowed the formation to stay in the same place. The spears pierced through the armor demons one by one. In the blink of an eye, countless armor demons had been lost. However, the war drums of the demons in the distance became more and more intense. It turned out that more and more armor demons rushed into the formation. They began to flap their wings and fly into the formation. In an instant, the 12 Qian Kuan formation produced some small ripples and waves. Feng Jixing saw it clearly. He pressed his hand on the hilt of the saber and continued to order, "Beat the drums, attacking form." The beating of the war drums became extremely intense. The battle generals in the 12 battle formations in the distance heard it very clearly and immediately gave the order. Immediately, the Chengquan battle formations stopped rotating and moved in a certain direction in a regular pattern. The latter used their shields to push against the back of the former. In this way, they surrounded and protected each other, forming the superposition of 10, 100, and 1,000 people, pushing the group of armor demons back again and again. Boom, boom, boom. The ground covered with green leaves suddenly split open. It was a trap. One after another, the armored demons fell into the deep pit. Someone threw out a torch from the battle formation. Instantly, the black beech oil in the deep pit was ignited. Closely after that, those armored demons were pushed into the flaming deep pit one after another by the Chengquan battle formation. Miserable screams rose and fell. There were actually deep pits and traps in between the heaven and earth battle formation. This was something Qian Feng would never have thought of. Flames rose into the sky from over 30 deep pits, illuminating the shields held by the soldiers in the battle formation. The miserable shrieks of the armored demons seemed to be echoing their slaughters. At this moment, a group of armored demons suddenly rushed out from the center of the battle formation with unstoppable momentum. They broke into the central palace. Zhang Wei gritted his teeth. "It doesn't matter." Feng Jixing raised his sword-like eyebrows and said, "Once they enter the shooting range, the Arrow Box Battalion will start attacking." "Yes, Commander." As expected, when the armored demons rushed into the central army about 200 meters away, the arrow boxes were launched at the same time. Countless arrows flew out densely like rain. 800 arrow boxes were launched at the same time, spraying tens of thousands of arrows in an instant. This kind of power was so terrifying that, in just one round of shooting, Nearly 1,000 armored demons were all turned into hedgehogs lying in front of the viewing platform of the central army of the Empire. In the distance, the flames were still burning fiercely. The Chenkuan battle formation kept flying, resisting the attacks of the armored demons. This shocking battle made everyone dumbfounded. Tang Tian was frightened and couldn't help but murmur, "Feng Jixing really is a brave general of the Empire." Qin Yin was also very gratified and said, "Since the appearance of the demon race from the Tongtian Gorge, they have always been invincible in field battles. Today, General Feng will probably break this rule. It is a blessing to have General Feng in the Empire." Feng Jixing, however, frowned and said, "Your Highness, this matter is too early to say. Although the Chenkuan battle formation is powerful, it is also fatal." "What is it?" Qin Yin asked. "Physical strength." Xiang Yu, who was on the side, continued the question and said, "The Chenkuan battle formation is too demanding on the physical strength of the soldiers. Constantly changing the battle formation can exhaust all the strength of a soldier in 2 hours. Moreover, the attacks of the demon race are endless, so the Chenkuan battle formation can only delay them for a moment, but can't keep the demon race in the unicorn forest." Feng Jixing nodded and said, "Just as Marquis Pingnan said, time is limited. This general can only train these 60,000 soldiers to form the Chenkuan battle formation. When their physical strength is exhausted, the Chenkuan battle formation will probably be useless. This general will send the cavalry to deal with them and use the white drill arrows left by you to kill the armored demons from afar. Together with the arrow boxes and ballistae, they will continue to consume the demon race's strength. As long as they can, we will try to buy as much time as possible for the Longdan army camp." Qin Yin gently nodded and said, "Then, I'll have to trouble General Feng." The sound of the war drums became more and more intense, and the battle seemed to be more fierce. Over the past 2 hours, numerous armored demons had been buried in the sea of fire. However, the armored demon corps continued to attack the Chenkuan battle formation as if they were inexhaustible. Many armored demons leaped into the formation and started a massacre by waving their battle blades. As for the soldiers who had run out of strength, they could only resist to the death. When more than a dozen battle formations began to shake, a layer of sweat appeared on Feng Jixing's handsome face. His arms trembled slightly and his eyes were like torches as he said, "Beat the drums, withdraw the formation. Cavalry, prepare to attack. Dong dong dong. Dong dong dong. Dong dong dong." As soon as the war drums sounded 3 times, the 12 Chenkuan battle formations that had begun to shake and collapse changed rapidly. Each battle formation was divided into more than a dozen small battle formations, each holding a shield to face the enemy, but they moved back and withdrew from the battlefield step by step. This was probably the best way to reduce the loss of retreat. As a founding hero, Xiang Wentian's battle formation was so exquisite. "Get on the horse." Qin Yen turned over and mounted the war horse. Holding the iron spear, he cupped his fists and said, "Your Highness, I'm leading the army to attack." Feng Jixing also walked forward with the saber in his hand and took the war horse from the servant, saying, "I'm going too. Your Highness, take care." Qin Yin opened her eyes wide and looked at the two. "Be careful and come back alive." "Yes." As the war drums sounded, the less than 40,000 heavy cavalries of the Empire stationed on the steel protective wall mounted their horses one after another and launched an attack on the armored demon legion, covering the retreat of the infantry formed by the Chenkuan battle formation. From afar, a round of white drill arrows was shot, and a large number of armored demons fell into a pool of blood. However, even more armored demons rushed over, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. Feng Jixing immediately urged his horse to gallop back, using the advantage of distance to continue using archer and cavalry tactics to kill armored demons. When the armored demons got close to the arrow box's firing range, they would immediately be brutally killed. The jungle was filled with a strong smell of blood. No one knew how many people and demons were killed in this battle. They only knew that there were corpses everywhere on the ground, and those armored demons' corpses that were burned in the deep pits had turned into tiny black dust and scattered in the wind. On the other side of the battle formation, the temporary camp of the armor demons. Qianfeng sat on the marshal's seat, holding the sword hilt and looking at the battle scene in the distance with a pale face. Marshal, humans are about to reach the end of the road, a higher demon of captaincy level said with a smile. The end of the road? Qianfeng raised his head and looked at him, his gaze cold as he said, there are many talents among the humans. This Feng Jixing is so proficient in the art of battle formations. How can we allow him to live in this world? Once there is a chance, we must kill Feng Jixing. Long Qianlin killed more than 20,000 armor demons of Leichong in the Battle of Lingnan, which was already a shame to the Protoss race. Today, Feng Jixing made me, Qianfeng, taste the shame of failure again. I must use Feng Jixing's blood to wash away my shame. Order the Wingmen Legion to fly over their battle formation and burn the human army's food supplies along the way. Without food, I want to see how Feng Jixing can fight with me. Yes, I understand. Captaincy smiled and said, Marshal, it seems that the Qin Empire has decided to fight with us in the Unicorn Forest. We will definitely win this battle and behead countless people. How about I send someone to Lake Lu to pick up the first princess and the little princess? After they see your great achievements, they will definitely put in a good word for you in front of the Saint Emperor. You may even have the chance to marry one of the two princesses. No need. Qianfeng frowned and said, Are there any movements from the Qin Empire's naval warships? No, the Wing Men scouts we sent haven't reported back yet. Qianfeng was shocked and said, Idiot. Quickly send an elite high demon army back to Lake Lu to protect the two princesses. My God, how could I be so stupid? Ah, Marshal, what do you mean? Feng Jixing could have sent the naval warships to bypass our line of sight and attack our food supplies and the two princesses. Didn't you think of that? A group of high-ranked demons with the rank of senior officers were stunned. In the night, the north bank of the Lu Lake was ablaze. A group of human cavalries flew by and constantly threw fire sticks into the piles of grains of demons. Piles of grains were quickly ignited. However, the armored demons didn't dare to water them at all. Their wings were flammable, and the oil in their bodies was the best material to ignite the fire. They were born to be afraid of fire, so how could they dare to extinguish it? Deputy Commander, there are people blocking us in front. They are high-ranked demons, but there are not many of them. Kill them. Luo Yu pulled out her sword and said with a murderous look. Thousands of cavalrymen charged forward. Amidst the flames, Luo Yu could vaguely make out two sword-wielding girls among the demons. She immediately ordered, Don't kill those two female demons. I want them alive. Kill the rest. How could dozens of high-ranked demons resist the attack of thousands of human cavalries? The hands of the two purple-eyed girls trembled a little as they held the rapier. The younger one had an extremely gentle voice as she murmured, Sister, are we going to die here? Dying on the battlefield is the pride of the god race. Ninger, don't be afraid. I'm with you. Okay. Chapter 433. Be careful, it's the winged people. A rain of arrows fell from the sky and landed on the crowd. Many soldiers were injured. The arrowheads used by the winged demons were very large and heavy, but the feathers were very short. Only in this way could they increase the ability to attack the ground from the air. But after all, the distance was too far. When the arrowheads fell, they were already powerless and could not cause fatal damage. They could only play the role of a nuisance. After a round of killing, Feng Jixing returned to the spectator stand and wiped the blood on his face. A few arrows landed on his body and were bounced off by his battle armor. He said respectfully, Your Highness, the attack of the demons seems to be more fierce on the second day. Qini nodded. General Feng, it's been hard on you. Su squinted her beautiful eyes and said, Qianfeng's strategy is not that simple. After our soldiers recovered their strength, they reformed the Chenkuan battle formation, but the momentum of the demons' attack has weakened again and again. Qianfeng most likely plans to attack from other places. That's right. Feng Jixing said, "The scouts have found new information." Qian Feng secretly ordered 2 armor demon armies to go to the north and south sides of the unicorn spirit beast. He probably wants to attack from the 2 sides of our battle formation and directly attack our command camp. Qian Feng is a cunning villain. Xiang Yu gritted his teeth. Su'er was stunned and asked, "Then what should we do?" Feng Jixing smiled faintly. "If we don't command the camp, they will lose their target. I mean, Your Highness and the other commanders will go into battle and attack the armor demon camp with Feng Jixing. Lord Chu Chu will protect Your Highness. In this way, Qian Feng's plan will naturally fail." Okay. Qin Yi nodded and said, "Bring my horse." Chu Chu and the others went out one after another. This was a battle that concerned the survival of the empire. No one could stay out of it. The sound of fighting soared into the sky. More than half of the unicorn forest had become a battlefield. The smell of blood wafted for hundreds of miles. The sound of horse hooves and the raging roars of the armor demons could be heard everywhere. Nearly 300,000 human soldiers fought fiercely in the unicorn forest for 3 days. In the end, more than a third of their troops had been killed, and more than 2/3 were injured. What was even worse was that their supply route had been cut off by the winged demon army, and most of their rations had been burned. The army had already entered a phase of food shortage. Moreover, the standard arrows used in their quivers had been used up, and even their most elite weapons had been lost. At night, amidst the flickering candlelight, Feng Jixing tightened the belt on his armor. The Empire's emblem on the shoulder of his military uniform shone with a golden luster under the candlelight. He frowned and asked, "Is everything ready?" Zhang Wei cupped his fists and said, "Ready. The frontline troops have already retreated. Where's His Highness?" Xiahou Sang personally led 3,000 Imperial Army brothers to protect him, but His Highness insisted on retreating with the army, so he didn't leave in advance. Feng Jixing frowned. Her Highness is like a bright star that can illuminate the 3 armies and raise the morale of the Empire's soldiers. But she's being too willful at this time. If she doesn't leave, she'll drag the 3 armies down. Go immediately, protect His Highness and retreat immediately. Say that it's my order. Yes, I'll go. Zhang Wei cupped his fists and retreated. Feng Jixing walked out of the barracks with his saber in hand, only to see that the soldiers around him were already packing up and preparing to retreat. At this moment, a shout suddenly came from afar. A scout galloped over and shouted, "General Feng, something bad has happened. The demons are attacking at night." Attacking at night? How long will it take? In the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn. How can they be so fast? The armor demons need at least an hour to run here. It's not the armor demons. It's the heavy cavalry of the demons. What? The demons have heavy cavalry? Yes. The scout panted and said, "At least 30,000 heavy cavalry." This lowly one vaguely saw that some of the heavy cavalry were humans. They should be formed by the slaves of the demons. Damn it! Feng Jixing mounted his horse with his saber in hand and shouted, "All troops retreat. Brothers of the 1st Battalion, stay with me to resist the enemies and cover the retreat of the other battalions. Don't take any of the supplies and provisions. Destroy all the arrow boxes and ballistae. Don't leave any for the demons." Yes. Over 5,000 heavy cavalries were quickly gathered. Under the leadership of Feng Jixing, they went straight to the surprise troops of the demons. In the distance, the armors of the heavy cavalries of the demons were shining coldly under the moonlight. They were rushing at the temporarily formed infantry defense line outside the camp. However, how could those imperial infantries be their opponents? They were all killed in the blink of an eye. Kill! Waving his wind chopper saber, Feng Jixing took the lead and rushed out. Thousands of cavalries behind him also rushed out fearlessly. In the blink of an eye, they fought with a group of high-level demons and human cavalries. Blood quickly spread in the camp. After the cavalries, the armor demons' corps quickly arrived. In the dark, it was impossible to resist the attack of the armor demons. The camp of the Imperial Army collapsed in the blink of an eye. The camp of hundreds of thousands of people was smashed. Everyone could only protect themselves and escape. Under the starlight, the flames in the camp of the Imperial Army soared into the sky. A group of Imperial guards guarded Qin Yin and rushed out of the camp. When they galloped to the edge of the unicorn forest, Qin Yin couldn't help but rein her horse. She turned around and looked at the soaring flames in the distance. Tears flowed out of her eyes. "We lost?" Zhang Wei let out a long sigh and said, "What a shame! 230,000 soldiers were utterly defeated by tens of thousands of demons. They couldn't resist at all." Su bit her red lips and said, "Xiaoyin, let's leave quickly. The demons must have already sent out an army to kill you." "Where's General Feng? Where are Xiang Yu and the others?" Zhang Wei said, "General Feng is leading the brothers of the 1st Battalion to bring up the rear. They should be fighting with the heavy cavalries of the demon race now. General Xiang Yu has led an army of Qihai City to break through the south. I don't know the current situation. Your Highness, let's leave quickly. If we don't leave now, it will be too late." "Where else can we go?" Qin Yin asked faintly. Suyu said, "Further ahead is the main road to Wugu City. But once we go to Wugu City, we will lead the demons who are chasing us to Wugu City, which will lead to the fall of Wugu City. In my opinion, why don't we go north and lead the demons into the Dragon Forest? We can take advantage of the fact that they don't know the terrain to deal with them and buy more time to defend Wugu City. What do you think, Your Highness?" "Okay." Qin Yin nodded. "How many people do we have left?" "There are only about 8,000 people here," Zhang Wei said. "Let's go." "Yes." Under the starlight, a group of people galloped in the direction of the Dragon Forest. Along the way, the counties also sent a small number of guards to welcome the Empress. But what could they do? Looking at the flashing stars in the distance, Qin Yin blamed herself. These counties would inevitably be massacred by the demons. It was her who brought this disaster to them. But war was like this, and she couldn't do anything about it. The next morning, the sun pierced through the clouds and fell on the blood-soaked land. That night, the Imperial Army suffered a crushing defeat. Nearly half of the 300,000 troops were lost, and their vitality was greatly damaged. The horses' hooves stepped on the mottled shadows of the forest. Qian Feng pressed the hilt of his sword and urged the horse forward slowly. Behind him, a group of armored demons widened their eyes and whined. No one knew what they were saying, but they seemed extremely impatient. The chariots in the middle were filled with the corpses of human soldiers. These were the provisions of the armored demons. Crash! Qian Feng unfolded a paper scroll, on which was a map of the terrain of the northern ridge. Beside him, a high-level demon said respectfully, "Marshal, we have already won a great victory. We have beheaded countless enemies this night, and the armored demon army can already go on a rampage." Why did the marshal order them to gather, but not to let them spread out to look for food? Qian Feng pondered for a while and said, "Although the human army is weak, the military discipline is strict. The strength of one person is far from being a match for the Protoss. But what about hundreds or thousands of people? Feng Jixing's Chenquin battle formation made us lose more than 20,000 armor demons. Maybe we should learn the tactics of human beings. I restrained the armor demons just to achieve a greater victory. Now that we have entered the core area of Cangnan Province, there is no need to kill more people. Pass down the order to gather the armor demons and continue to advance with me." "Yes, Marshal, our next goal is..." Qian Feng gently pointed at a small place on the map and said, "It's here, Wugu City, one of the richest cities of human beings. It is the capital of Cangnan Province. As long as we take over Wugu City, we can nail a poisonous thorn in the territory of the Qin Empire, making them unable to pull it out." "Yes." Captaincy nodded and said, "I will mobilize all the armor demons and go straight to Wugu City." "No." Qian Feng shook his head and said, "Lian Xiao, as one of the smartest generals of the Protoss, why haven't you learned how to fight a good war? If we can take Five Valleys City with less effort, then why not?" "Marshal, what do you mean?" Qian Feng's eyes flashed a cold light and said, Select 1,000 people from our slaves, and let them wear the uniforms of Feng Jixing's subordinates, the Imperial Army. They will ride to Wugu City on horses to deceive them into opening the city gate. Then we will cooperate from the inside and the outside. The Armor Demon Army will attack in one fell swoop. I want to take over Wugu City, one of the 7 famous cities of the Empire, without bloodshed. Yes, Marshal. At this moment, suddenly a winged person fell from the sky. With a pale face, he cupped his fists and said, "Marshal, something bad has happened. What's the matter? Why are you so flustered? Her Highness Jing and Her Highness Ning What happened to Her Highness? Last night, the camp was attacked by the human army. The provisions were burned, and Her Highness Jing and Her Highness Ning were also taken away by the humans. My God!" Qianfeng's face turned pale in an instant. He said, "Whose army is it?" "Feng Jixing's Imperial Army." "Bastard!" Qianfeng suddenly clenched his fists, his face full of killing intent. "Feng Jixing, this bastard. I will skin him alive." On the side, Captain Si and Lian Xiao were dumbfounded. "Marshal, the 2 princes have been taken away. What should we do now?" "Carry on with the plan." "Yes." Chapter 434. On the 13th of April, a heavy fog shrouded the entire Five Valleys city. At the southern gate, a group of 7 Seas city guards were looking at everything in the fog. The news of the defeat of the main force of the Empire's army in the Unicorn Forest had already been sent over 2 days ago, but there was still no news until now. General Tang Di, who was guarding the city, had a grizzled beard. He was an old general who had followed Tang Lan to battle all over the place and was now guarding the Five Valleys city. "Tuck, tuck, tuck." Tang Di narrowed his eyes and said, "Who is it?" A soldier holding a pair of inferior binoculars said, "General, it seems to be a group of cavalry, wearing the imperial uniform. The fog is too thick to see clearly. Should we open the gate?" "No, wait first." "Yes." In a few minutes, a group of cavalry covered in blood galloped to the foot of the city. They were holding the imperial purple flag in their hands, and all of them wore the insignia of the imperial army. A chilly arch carrying a spear anxiously came to the foot of the city and shouted, "Who is the general?" Tang Di walked to the edge of the battlement and cupped his fists. "Five Valleys City's 5th rank Deputy General Tang Di is here. May I ask who is the general?" "I'm Zhou Ping, a chilly arch under the command of Feng Jixing of the Imperial Army. We've been killed by demons. A group of armor demons are chasing after us. General Tang Di, please open the gate and save me and my brothers." "Zhou Ping." Tang Di frowned and said, "Do you have the Imperial Army token?" "Yes." Zhou Ping fished out a blood-stained token from his bosom and threw it towards the city wall. Tang Di caught it and examined it carefully. "It's really someone from the Imperial Army." Zhou Ping hurriedly looked back and shouted, "General Tang, if you don't open the gate, my brothers and I can only die in this city. Please save us. The Imperial Army. Save this last spark." Tang Di's eyelids trembled. "Open the gate. Archers, get ready. Once the demons come, immediately aim and shoot. We must not let the demons take a step into the Five Valleys city." "Yes." The gates slowly rose, and Zhou Ping and the rest hurriedly rushed in with their weapons in hand. But the moment they stepped into the city, Zhou Ping suddenly raised his spear and stabbed a centurion to death. "Take down the city gates," he roared in a low voice. Tang Di, who was on the city wall, was shocked. "God damn it, this is a group of rebel soldiers. Kill them, use your bows and arrows to kill them." But it was too late. Zhou Ping led a group of people into the city, and Zhou Ping led hundreds of heavy cavalry to the top of the city walls. With a swing of his sword, Tang Di's head fell to the ground, covered in blood. Zhou Ping raised Tang Di's head high above his head. "Tang Di has already been beheaded by me. Don't be so stubborn, or you'll die together with him. Bastard, traitor." The group of guards of the Five Valleys city did not care about this. One by one, they rushed up, but one by one, They fell under the blades of Zhou Ping and the other rebels. There were not many guards in the Five Valleys city, and all the elites had been transferred to defend the steel walls. The ones left to defend the city were a group of old generals and veterans. How could they be a match for Zhou Ping and the others? Unfortunately, all the old soldiers on the city walls were killed. The city gates opened, and in the fog, a group of armored demons shouted in a language that they could not understand and rushed into the city with thick weapons. The people on the streets of the city screamed and quickly became victims of the armored demons' butcher knives. Some of the armored demons even gnawed on the bodies that had not yet cooled. The demons have entered the city. The demons have killed their way into the south gate. Run. If you are slow, you will die. The people in the city were in a panic. Like an ocean, they rushed to the east and west of the city, but they did not know that the 4 main gates of the Five Valleys city had been sealed, and they could not go anywhere. At the same time, the north gate of the Five Valleys city slowly rose, and the flags outside the city fluttered. The North City Guard stood respectfully on the side of the road, cupped his fists, and said, "Commander Yu, please enter the city." Lin Muyu was dressed in the white robe of the imperial forest, full of majesty. She nodded lightly and rode snow-treading into the city. She said, "Bring 10,000 soldiers into the city. Half of them will be infantry and the other half will be cavalry. The rest will be stationed outside." "Yes, Commander." Wei Chou nodded and went to make arrangements. Tang Xiaoxi blinked her eyes, looked at the Five Valleys city in the fog, and said, "It always feels too quiet. So quiet that it's a little scary." "Yes." Lin Muyu was also faintly uneasy, but the spiritual pulse technique had extended nearly 10 kilometers, but still could not detect any strong aura. It was really impossible to determine what was going on. Note: the north and south gates of the Five Valleys city are 30 kilometers apart. Situ-san said, "Commander, let's go to the north gate quickly. If the demons launch an attack, the north gate will be the most directly attacked." "Yes." Lin Muyu nodded and said, "Full speed ahead, to the north gate." The 5,000 elite cavalry of the Longden army camp increased their speed, and behind them were the 5,000 soldiers of the gun and shield camp of the barbarians under the leadership of Prince Huangshi. Couldn't be helped, the physique of the barbarians was tyrannical, and the weight of an adult was close to 400 kilograms. The war horses of the endless forest could carry such a weight, but the barbarian soldiers didn't know how to ride a horse, and their combat power would be sharply reduced after riding a horse. The group of people rampaged, but they saw a continuous stream of fleeing commoners in the distance. Lin Muyu couldn't help but be vigilant, and it was also at this time that a group of imperial cavalry galloped over from afar. Each of them wore the insignia of the imperial army, and each of them was covered in blood. The soldiers of the Longdan army camp slowly stopped following Lin Muyu's movements, and the 5,000 people on the other side stopped at the same time, facing off on the street. "Commander!" Situ-san cast a questioning look at her. Lin Muyu nodded lightly, indicating for him to do as she said. Thus, Situ-san slowly urged his horse forward with his hand on the hilt of his sword, and said with a smile, "This general is the captaincy of the Longdan army camp, Situ-sen, leading the Longdan army camp to reinforce the Five Valleys city. May I know who this general is?" Zhou Ping cupped his fists and said respectfully, "This general is Zhou Ping, a chiliarch of the imperial army. After the imperial army was killed and scattered, I brought my brothers to the Five Valleys city to defend, and I'm here to welcome the Longdan army camp." "Oh, a brother of the imperial army?" Situ-sen's hand was still on the hilt of the sword at his waist, and he said with a smile, "Although we're on the same side, let's use the slogan of the imperial army. I'll say one sentence and you say the next, a cloud-piercing arrow, come." Zhou Ping was stunned, and said, "Thousands of horses. Your mother." Situ-san raised his hand to pull out the blade, and with a kacha sound, blood splattered, and Zhou Ping's head flew into the air. Situ-san sneered, "This is our Longden army camp's secret code, and you dare to use it? Thousands of horses, your grandmother's leg." Lin Muyu slowly unsheathed the blade, and said, "Kill! Leave no one alive." They are the rebels who have defected to the demon race. Kill. Tang Zhen, Wei Chou, Feng Shi, and the other generals urged their horses to charge, while Su Jiantao carried his shield, rampaging. These rebels were originally a motley crew. How could they resist the impact of the Longdan army camp? After a round of charge, they were routed. Bang! A loud sound erupted from the crowd. It was Lin Muyu's chaos of the common people, easily tearing dozens of people into a pile of minced meat, and his body was quickly stained with blood. Tang Xiaoxi followed closely behind Lin Muyu, and one fire fox seal after another fell into the crowd, killing the rebels until they were wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves. With these two sanctuary-level masters, the rebels were no match for them at all. "Commander," as they were killing, a scout galloped over and said, "The demons have entered the city. At least 3,000 armored demons are wantonly killing the people in the city." "Bastard." Lin Muyu gritted his teeth and said, "Wei Chou, take 3,000 people to the south gate, seize the gate, and close it. Don't let the demons outside the city enter again. Troops of the Manhuang tribe, get ready. It's time to test the power of the Manhuang tribe's shield." "Yes." Wei Chou led a group of people to take a detour, and Prince Huangxi also rushed over with a group of Manhuang tribe soldiers with his shield, and asked excitedly, "Commander Yu, we have a mission?" "Yes." Lin Muyu pointed at the dense armored demon army in the distance, and said, "Your Highness, those are the armored demons. Get ready to fight. The rest of the brothers in the Longdan army camp, and I will reinforce you with white drill arrows on both sides." Okay. It seemed that the armored demons also found that there was a powerful army in the city, and immediately gathered. A group of armored demons rushed over with spears and axes, roaring, "Warriors, get ready to fight." Huangxi smashed the huge and heavy shield on the ground, and a group of Manhuang tribe soldiers behind him followed suit, forming a steel wall in front of them. They slowly moved the shield forward and held the spears in their right hands, the tips of which were glowing with a faint flame, which was the effect of quenching white drill. Although the blacksmiths in Lanyan City were not as delicate and sharp as Lin Muyu's, these spears were enough to pierce through the body of the armored demons. "Kill." The Manhuang tribe soldiers sped up, and the shield blocked the impact of the armored demons, which made Lin Muyu, Feng Shi, and Su Jiantao dumbfounded. The Manhuang tribe was really powerful, and this was the first time that they saw someone who could forcibly repel the fierce attack of the armored demons. The next moment, the spears pierced forward. Puff, puff, puff. Blood constantly splashed out. After a thrust, the barbarian warrior immediately pulled back his spear. His body continued to hide behind the shield. He then used the shield attack tactic to force the armored demons to retreat, and then attacked with his spear. A series of attacks directly made the group of armored demons at a complete loss, which was enough to prove the feasibility of Su Jiantao's short training. Bows and arrows. Under Lin Muyu's order, the rest of the people in the Longdan army camp came to the two sides of the battle formation, and the arrowheads of the white drill arrows were shot out fiercely. Soon, hundreds of armored demons fell into a pool of blood. Tang Xiaoxi had already entered the form of nine-tailed fox. She gently raised her hand, and a huge seal fell from the sky. Boom! The 10th heaven of Fire Fox Seal, Cosmic Seal. With a strike similar to the power of stars, dozens of armored demons were smashed into pieces while flames soared into the sky. Tang Xiaoxi spun around and dodged the battle axe thrown by an armored demon. With a bang, the wall behind her was directly broken through. She couldn't help but stick out her tongue. Folding her palms together, she roared in a tender voice while golden light fell from her body like raindrops. At the same time, a mark was released. God's seal. Like the light of the oracle, it was another huge energy impact, and dozens of armored demons were quickly turned into powder. Chapter 435. The armored demons attacked fearlessly, but they all died in the hands of the Longdan army camp, the barbarian soldiers, Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi. When the last armored demon was beheaded, the battle was over in less than 20 minutes. Clang! The heavy iron gate fell. Lin Muyu ordered the Longdan army camp to officially take over the Five Valley City. Clap, clap, clap. A pure white bird descended from the sky and landed beside Tangdi's corpse, kept hopping around, but it didn't receive any response. Lin Muyu stepped forward and gently picked up the messenger bird. She took off the tube and took out the letter. A line of words was carefully and clearly written on it. The Cangnan army has been defeated. Please defend the Five Valley City. The demon army has gone to the Five Valley City. There are about 60,000 armored demons, 20,000 wingmen, and less than 10,000 high-level demons. I will lead the remaining troops to the dragon-seeking forest to protect Her Highness, Xiang Yu. It was signed by Xiang Yu. This was Xiang Yu's letter. Lin Muyu frowned and passed the letter to Tang Xiaoxi, Wei Chou, and others. The empire is really defeated. Wei Chou was silent. Lin Muyu bowed her head and said nothing. After a few seconds, she looked up at Tang Xiaoxi and said, Shao Shi, leave the Five Valley City to me. You lead 50,000 demon troops to the dragon-seeking forest to find Shao Yin. You must protect her. But you... Tang Xiaoxi blinked, her eyes full of worry. She knew the combat power of the demon race and how terrifying 60,000 armored demons and 10,000 high-level demons were. Don't worry. Lin Muyu hugged her gently and whispered in her ear. Take my commander's seal and take the remaining 45,000 soldiers of the Longdan army camp out of the city. Why? Tang Xiaoxi trembled slightly. I can't let them die here. 10,000 people are enough to defend the city. No! Why not? Lin Muyu looked at her with clear eyes and said, Even though you are a princess, I still have to order you to lead the main force to the dragon forest to reinforce Shao Yin. She needs you more. As for the Five Valleys City, don't worry. I have confidence in the battle against the demons. As long as I stall the demons here, it won't be too late for you, Brother Feng, and Shao Yin to reorganize the army of the empire and come to rescue me. Then you must be careful. Tang Xiaoxi didn't say anything else. She turned around and left without even looking back. She was afraid that if she looked at him one more time, she wouldn't be able to make up her mind to leave. Inside the city, the sound of horse hooves could be heard. Tang Xiaoxi had left the city. Wei Chou asked from the side, My lord, can we really defend the Five Valleys City with just 10,000 people? I don't know. Then why did you... We can't let our brothers die with us. It's not a good thing to defend the city with too many people. It will only consume more food. You haven't seen Qianfeng's despicable means of besieging the city. Yes? At this moment, a chilly arch in charge of cleaning the battlefield came forward, holding a metal nameplate in his hand and said, Commander, we found this on the trader Zhou Ping. Oh? Lin Muyu took it and looked at it. This was a nameplate that all soldiers of the empire had. It was used to identify them after they died in battle. The front of the nameplate was engraved with Chili Arch Shi Min, and the back with Yangwei Legion. Suddenly, Lin Muyu couldn't help but tremble. She had also had this nameplate before. This was the nameplate issued by the Yangwei Legion when they went on an expedition to Winter Frost City. Wei Chou narrowed his eyes. Could it be that this person is from the Yangwei Legion? Shi Min. Lin Muyu gritted her teeth and said, This person is Shi Hu's younger brother. I remember. There are still people from the Yangwei Legion who survived, although they have surrendered to the devil race and become their minions. Situ-san smiled slightly. When people are about to die, they will naturally be afraid. It is conceivable that they will surrender to the devil race. Commander, you don't have to think too much. Not everyone is willing to sacrifice their lives for the empire, such as me. Hehe. Lin Muyu glanced at him and didn't speak. This rogue captaincy was the most outstanding in terms of intelligence and military strategy in the Longdan army camp, but his behavior was also the most unruly. Let him be. Gather the remaining defenders in the city and deploy them to guard the 4 gates. Yes, Commander. 10,000 people from the Longdan army camp were stationed in the city, and there were about 5,000 defenders in the city. In the evening, a group of generals gathered in the big tent of the Longdan army camp. Under the candlelight, Lin Muyu sat motionlessly on the marshal's seat with her hand on her sword. In front of the table was a map of Zhangnan province. In the crowd, a chilly arch of Wugu City cupped his fist and said, "I am Zhao Ritian, serving as the chilly arch of Wugu City's Zhangnan Army, Reserve Legion. At this time, I am already the person with the highest military rank among the original defenders of Wugu City. I will be at your disposal at any time." Lin Muyu looked up at him and said, "General Zhao, how much food is left in Wugu City?" "There is plenty of food, enough to last for 3 years." Zhao Ritian said confidently. "That's good." Lin Muyu said, "Pass down the order. Let the people dig more ponds in their homes to store water." "Why?" Zhao Ritian was stunned. "Have you forgotten how Xiongyu massacred nearly 2 million people in Wugu City?" Wei Chou said calmly, "If Xiongyu can do that, the demons can do the same." "Yes, I understand." Lin Muyu said, "In addition, move all the food in the city to the cellars and brick houses to prevent the demons from attacking from the sky. Also, start forging arrows in all the blacksmiths in the city, the more the better." "Yes, you may go. I will take my leave." Lin Muyu watched Zhao Ritian leave, then looked up at Situ-san and said, "General San, do you think this Zhao Ritian is reliable?" Situ-san cupped his fist and said, "Although he looks ugly, he seems loyal. That's good." Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "The demons are about to invade, and the people in Wugu City are in a panic. Come with me for night patrol. Don't bring too many people, just 100 will do." "Yes, Commander." The light of the torch shone all around. Many people closed their doors, and more burned paper money on the streets to mourn the dead. Today, the armor demons slaughtered at least tens of thousands of people after entering the city, which was undoubtedly another heavy blow to the hearts of the people in Wugu City. Even Feng Jixing had been defeated by Chen Feng, which made Lin Muyu very depressed. Frowning, she urged her horse to slowly follow the crowd on the main street of the city. Not long after, they entered the downtown street, where the front was brightly lit. Many people were buying food, clothes, and so on, but after the arrival of the Longden army camp, the people all showed a look of fear. However, some people's faces were full of jealousy. Not far away, a child about 7 or 8 years old raised the carrot in his hand and smashed it. Pa! The carrot bounced off Lin Muyu's chest armor, leaving a trace of green juice on the spotless armor. Lin Muyu looked down, only to see the child's mother holding the child tightly in her arms. Looking at Lin Muyu with fear, she knew that this was a high official, and perhaps she should not offend such a person in her life. Lin Muyu slowly dismounted, came to the child, squatted down and asked, "Child, why did you hit me?" The child's eyes were filled with hatred that did not match his age, and said, "You trash! You are the soldiers of the Empire, but you can't beat the demons. You caused my father to be killed by the demons this morning. You are all trash. You are not worthy of being soldiers of the Empire." Lin Muyu looked at him with a little despair, stood up, and did not speak. The child's mother begged for mercy. "Lord, the child is not sensible. Please don't care about him." It's okay. Lin Muyu smiled and did not say anything. However, at this moment, there was a sudden buzz, and a kitchen knife flew in the air and fell toward Lin Muyu's neck, and was forcibly bounced off by the battle armor with a clang. Lin Muyu was angry in the bottom of her heart, and looked coldly at the person who threw the kitchen knife. It was an old man about 60 years old, and he said with a face full of hatred, "You imperial soldiers usually levy and collect taxes, and now that the demons are here, you only know how to hide in the city and let us common people suffer with you. If you have the guts, go out of the city and fight with the demons. What's the point of being a tyrant in the city?" A group of common people next to him echoed, shouting loudly, "Go out of the city and fight the demons! Don't implicate us! Get out of Five Valley City!" Lin Muyu looked at the crowd and couldn't help laughing. There was deep disappointment in her eyes. She turned over and mounted the horse and said indifferently, "If I had known that I would be protecting idiots like you, I wouldn't have to risk my life." At this time, a woman walked forward and said with a pious look in her eyes, "Lord, you have bled and sweated in order to protect the people of the empire. They are actually just angry because they lost their loved ones. Please forgive them. Lord, don't punish them. Five Valley City has suffered too much, please." Another man holding a torch said, "That's right, my lord. I'm a retired veteran. I used to be a soldier guarding the border, but now I'm just a night watchman. Lord Commander, please don't vent your anger on these people. They're just blinded by anger." "No, I won't vent my anger on them." Lin Muyu tried to maintain a gentle expression. She knew that once she got angry here, it would not only affect herself, but the people of the empire. But at this time, the old man who threw the kitchen knife found a brick out of nowhere, rushed over and shouted, "You minions of the emperor, get out of Five Valley City." The brick hit straight at Situ Senior. Situ Sen's eyes were indifferent, and he waved the sword at his waist like lightning. Suddenly, a head flew into the sky, and blood slowly flowed down the blade. He said indifferently, "It's fine if you provoke a good person like the commander, but why do you have to provoke a bad person like me?" Chapter 436. Situ San Yu. Lin Muyu gritted her teeth. All the commoners at the side were shocked. No one had thought that these soldiers would really dare to kill people in the city. Situ San slowly sheathed his blood-stained sword and said calmly, "Commander, Situ San is willing to accept any punishment." "Guards." Lin Muyu's eyes were cold. "Put Situ San into the death row." "Yes." Two Longdan army camp soldiers stepped forward and removed Situ San's military emblem, then brought him to the camp. But everyone knew that there was no death row in the Longdan army camp. Facing the crowd of shocked commoners, Lin Muyu dismounted and held the old man's head in her hands. She said to the soldiers beside her, "Bury this old man well. He will not die in vain. Take out 100 Jinnin coins from our funds to compensate his family." "Yes, Commander." Wei Chou cupped his fists and nodded in acknowledgement. Lin Muyu gently placed the old man's head beside the corpse, cupped her fists at the surrounding commoners, and said, "I am Lin Muyu, the commander of the Longdan army camp of the empire. I hereby promise everyone that the Longdan army camp came to Five Valley City to fight against the demon race. As long as we are here, no one will be able to touch Five Valley City. Please rest assured that the Empire soldiers will die for the Empire. So, no one is allowed to attack the Empire soldiers. Otherwise, they will be punished with a heavy crime." The crowd of commoners nodded one after another, a trace of respect appearing in their eyes. Lin Muyu turned around and mounted her horse, then quickly left with the crowd. Wei Chou chased after her and smiled. "Madam, the speech just now was not bad." Lin Muyu nodded. "After returning to the camp, release Situ Senator, otherwise who will fight?" "Heh, I understand." In the moonlit night, hundreds of scouts from the Longdan army camp were released from the city. Everyone in the camp fell asleep in their pajamas. Qianfeng's army was about 12 hours away from the city, which was enough for everyone to rest. Outside the commander's tent, Lin Muyu stood like a statue under the starlight. Strands of starlight seeped into his body. The astral power swirled in his ocean of qi, then turned into soul power and condensed in his yi. He could feel that the astral power in his body was getting stronger and stronger, as if he was about to reach a breakthrough. Closing his eyes, the star jade do qi circulated around his body, causing his cloak to flutter in the wind. Wei Chou and Situ San sat on the haystack far away from the commander's tent, watching the starlight and drinking wine in silence. They did not disturb Lin Muyu's practice, as if they were only there to protect Lin Muyu. Until dawn, the stars in the sky had dimmed significantly, but the astral power around Lin Muyu's body had become even more dazzling. His spiritual sense had already sunk into his yi, his feet stepping on the monstrous waves in his yi. "Wei Chou and I want to secretly learn from you, but we don't have the strength to learn it." You want to learn the star mantra? I'll teach you. Lin Muyu smiled. Situ Sen was taken aback. Commander, are you really going to teach me the star mantra? Why not? From today onwards, I'll teach you the basic circulation method. It's up to you how far you can go. Wei Chou, do you want to learn it? Wei Chou shook his head. My cultivation is naturally far from General Sen's. It's better to concentrate on my own martial arts. All right. Suddenly, a rider galloped in from outside the camp, holding a war flag in his hand. He said, Commander, the demons have appeared 20 miles north of Five Valleys City. They will definitely arrive in Five Valleys City within an hour. Good. Lin Muyu clenched her fist and said, There's still time. Pass down my order. Everyone in the Longdan army camp is to go to the city wall. The Spirit Fire Department is to prepare food immediately and send it to the camp. Yes. The wind whistled past, blowing away the fog. In the east, the sun burst out as usual, but the sun probably did not know that a battle was silently descending. Lin Muyu came to the city wall with a long sword and looked into the distance. Five Valleys City had a wide field of vision. She could already see the black mass of the demon army in the distance. There were countless of them. Chen Feng was really going to risk his life. Looking into the distance, Su Jiantao could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. He said, Commander, Chen Feng still has at least 100,000 demon soldiers. We only have less than 20,000 people. Even with the protection of the city, I'm afraid we can't hold on for too long. It won't take too long. Lin Muyu's eyes were indifferent. Chen Feng dares to use the main army to surround Five Valleys City, which is tantamount to giving Feng Jixing a chance to breathe. The Imperial Army can make a comeback. If Chen Feng does not surround Five Valleys City, we will kill our way out of the city and attack the demon army from the rear. Together with Feng Jixing, we can also make Chen Feng suffer a fate worse than death. Su Jiantao was stunned. He cupped his fists and said, Commander really thinks much further than me. Dong, 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 dong. The war drums thundered. The demons had indeed made a posture of besieging the city. Tens of thousands of armored demons guarded the four gates of Five Valleys City, while the high-level demons rode their horses and galloped outside the city. They seemed to be very busy. The stars in the sky were all winged people, but they did not approach. It seemed that they were also afraid of a godly archer like Wei Chou in the Longdan army camp. How many arrow boxes are there in the city? Lin Muyu asked. Not a single one. Wei Chou shook his head and said, Only our Longdan army camp has brought 200 of them. The arrow boxes are high-grade goods. The defenders of Five Valleys City are all old, weak, sick, and disabled. How are they qualified to be equipped with arrow boxes? I see. Lin Muyu smiled bitterly. When I heard this news, my tears fell. Wei Chou and Situ Sun both laughed. On the side, Situ Shui smiled and said, Commander, you still have the mood to joke at this time. It seems that you really have a card up your sleeve. It's not that I have a card up my sleeve. I have no confidence at all. Lin Muyu narrowed her eyes and looked at the demon battle formation in the distance. She said, It just seems that Chen Feng does not intend to attack the city by force. He only intends to besiege the city. Why? They are too far away from the city. It doesn't seem like they are going to attack the city. Moreover, there are no siege ladders or siege chariots. Chen Feng does not intend to attack the city at all. Then what should we do? No hurry. Let's wait and see Chen Feng's next move. At noon, the demonic army surrounded the Five Valleys City. However, a messenger bird slowly landed on Lin Muyu's shoulder. Its feathers were pure white and looked very familiar. Little White? Lin Muyu asked in surprise. This messenger bird actually jumped forward and stood very intimately next to Lin Muyu's cheek. It really was Little White. Lin Muyu quickly untied the letter. On it was Chu Yao's delicate handwriting. You, the staff of the Spiritual Medicine Department, and I were killed and separated by the demon army. Currently, we are protected by the army led by Feng Jixing. General Feng has gathered 50,000 soldiers and hoarded them in Lai City, upstream of Daojiang. I don't know your situation, but Little White will definitely find you. I hope you will reply. Chu Yao looked at Chu Yao's handwriting. Lin Muyu couldn't help but feel warm. She gently stroked Little White's head and said, "Prepare a pen and paper." "Yes." Taking the pen and paper from Wei Chou, Lin Muyu quickly replied, "I led 10,000 Longden army camp to guard Five Valleys City. It has been surrounded by 100,000 demon army. They haven't attacked the city yet. Tell Brother Feng not to act rashly." In the direction of the dragon-seeking forest, Shao Shi led 90,000 soldiers to welcome Shao Yin. "There shouldn't be a problem. Sister Chu Yao, be careful." Lin Muyu. After putting away the letter, Little White flew to the north like a sharp arrow. Lin Muyu didn't ask for anything else. She could only pray that Little White could safely pass through the demon army's defense line. However, Little White had undergone special training and could fly to a very high altitude. It should be fine if the winged people couldn't reach it. Lai City? Wei Chou looked at the letter and said, "Lai City is just a small county city. Its population doesn't even have 100,000 people. Commander Feng is stationed there, so I'm afraid he can't help us much." "Yes, but we don't have any other choice." "Yes." Not far away, Fengshi flew over and said, "Master, there is a demon messenger outside the north gate. He said that it's a letter from Demon Marshal Qianfeng to you. However, he must see you in person to open it." "Oh, got it. I'll go over now." Chapter 437. Outside the north gate, tens of thousands of armored demons stared at the city with wide eyes. Meanwhile, the messenger of the demon race was standing outside the city on his horse. He was a 3-star demon grandmaster, and he had an arrogant look on his face. "Open the small door and let him in," Lin Muyu ordered. With a creak, the small door opened, and the demon messenger slowly entered. He looked around and into the distance, as if trying to see how many Longdan army camp soldiers were in the city. Lin Muyu smiled faintly. "Don't look at me. We only have 10,000 soldiers. If Qianfeng has the guts to attack the city, he can come. I'll be waiting for him." "You are Commander Lin Muyu?" he asked. "Yes." The arrogance in the demon messenger's eyes faded a little. It seemed that Lin Muyu had a good reputation in the demon army. After all, the demon race was also a race that worshipped the strong. Anyone would look up to a truly strong person. He took out a scroll and said, "This is the letter that Marshal Qianfeng asked me to bring to you. All right, I should go back now." "Okay." Lin Muyu nodded, indicating for him not to shoot. Killing a mere messenger would make her feel guilty. She was afraid that Qianfeng would really attack the city in a fit of anger. She opened the scroll and saw Qianfeng's handwriting. To be honest, Qianfeng was a demon, but his handwriting was still much better than Lin Muyu's. To Commander Lin Muyu, "I never thought that we would meet again like this after our last parting. Commander Yu is an outstanding person in the human empire, but as the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances, and a good bird chooses a tree to nest in. The human empire is declining day by day, and Commander Yu has been ostracized and humiliated. Qianfeng pays his special respects. As long as Commander Yu is willing to serve the Demon King, Qianfeng will definitely recommend you as the 3rd marshal of the celestial race. Furthermore, Qianfeng promises not to harm the Empress Qin Yin at all. The fate of the human race is coming to an end, and I hope that Commander Yu can reconsider." Qianfeng of the God race. Lin Muyu could not help but smile. Wei Chou said, "If I'm not wrong, it should be a letter urging us to surrender, right?" "Yeah." Lin Muyu raised her hand. Starlight danced and directly tore the letter into pieces. She said, "Prepare a pen and paper. I want to write a reply to Qianfeng." "Yes." A soldier picked up a pen and paper. Lin Muyu quickly wrote down 4 large characters in a flamboyant style. After sealing it, she handed it to a scout and said, "Take the staff and personally deliver this letter to the demon Marshal Qianfeng." "Yes, Commander." In the main camp of the devil race, Qian Feng sat on the marshal's seat with a frown. In front of him, a group of high-ranking generals stood on both sides. A voice came from outside. Lin Muyu replied. Oh? Qian Feng raised his head and said, Bring it up quickly. Yes. When the letter was unfolded on the marshal's desk, there were 4 large characters written in flamboyant style. Grenade-throwing towers plot. HM? Qian Feng frowned and said, Grenade-throwing towers plot? What does this mean? What is Lin Muyu's intention in writing these 4 characters? Captain Lien Fu said, Marshal, could it be a language that humans have developed over the years? I don't know. Qian Feng said, Someone, bring these 4 characters to the counselor and the human sages. I need to know what secrets Lin Muyu has in writing them. Yes. On the side, Lien Fu said, Marshal, are we just going to surround the city like this? Why don't we attack the city as soon as possible? I heard that there are not many defenders in the city. Lin Muyu is just putting on a show. I know. Qian Feng's eyes shot out a ray of light. He said lightly, But Lin Muyu is a talented general. If he can be used by the Protoss, why should we worry about the world being unjust? Moreover, we have already lost a lot of troops to Feng Jixing in the decisive battle in the Unicorn Forest. Our military strength is only half of what it was originally. We can no longer attack the city by force. Then what does the marshal mean now? Trap the 5 Valleys city and force Lin Muyu to surrender. In addition, send a letter to Lingnan and order Lei Chong to withdraw the main Jia demon army. If Lin Muyu does not surrender to us, then let Lei Chong smash his head with his warhammer. If this person cannot be used by the Protoss, then he cannot be left alive. Qian Feng's eyes were full of killing intent. Yes. Lien Fu, gather the human army that has surrendered to us. Gather all the people in Songnan province. Oh, what is the marshal's intention? Lien Fu looked puzzled. Qian Feng's finger slowly moved on the map. He said lightly, Build a simple city every 5 miles along this line and stock up the food that the Jia demons like to eat. The more the better. Since Lin Muyu wants to delay our march north in the 5 Valleys city, then we will do as he wishes. I will divide the territory of the empire into 3 parts. The Protoss, the empire, and the Iha country will each have a share. We will nibble away at them step by step until the world is one. Yes. Lien Fu cupped his fists. There was a trace of embarrassment on his face. He said, Marshal, there is still no news from Her Royal Highness. You see, I don't know if Her Royal Highness is in the 5 Valleys city. It's possible. Qian Feng looked up at an old demon on his left. This old demon was wearing 5-star emblems on his collar. He was a 5-star demon master. Qian Feng cupped his fists and smiled. Then I will trouble Elder Lien Hai to sneak into the 5 Valleys city tonight and find out if Her Royal Highness and Her Royal Highness are in the city. If they are, I will immediately break into the city. Lien Hai raised his eyebrows and said, Marshal, do you want me to kill Lin Muyu? No. Qian Feng shook his head and said, Lin Muyu is far more powerful than you can imagine. It's best to avoid her if you can. However, there are very few people in the demon army who can fly over cities. That's why we have to trouble Elder Lien Hai to make a trip there. I know. Lien Hai stood up and bowed. This old man will not fail you. Good. I wish Elder success. At night, the entire 5 Valleys city fell into silence. Whoosh! A silhouette descended from the sky. The winged people in the sky quickly flapped their wings and left. The black silhouette landed in the middle of the city. Landing on the roof of a tavern, the old man lifted his cloak and covered his face. Then, he leaped down and blended in with the drunken mercenaries in the city. Under the light, a burly mercenary could be seen with his right arm around the waist of the tavern's maid and his left hand holding a jug of wine. His face was full of smiles as he asked, Little Ling Ling, are you really not going to sleep with me? The maid smiled. Next time, next time. Today's business is too busy. Take care. Ha, naughty. The mercenary was already very drunk. He gently patted the maid's buttocks before stumbling into a dark alley. Suddenly, he stumbled back and bumped into an old man. The old man's body was ice cold. The mercenary couldn't help but shiver as he sobered up a bit. He smiled and said, "Old man, thank you. You're welcome." Lien Hai smiled faintly. "Master, I have something to ask you." "Oh, what is it?" "Where is the Longdan army camp?" "In the Holy Palace in the north of the city." "Thank you." "No, wait." The mercenary grabbed the old man's shoulder and said, "Why are you going to the Longdan army camp? Old man, are you a spy sent by the demon race?" "Heh, you guessed it right." Refining Sea grabbed the mercenary's hand, and before he could cry out in pain, a wave of ice, profound energy engulfed the mercenary's entire body, and he was instantly frozen into an icicle. Refining Sea gently pushed the mercenary's body, and the mercenary's body immediately turned into a pile of broken ice and fell into the alleyway beside the tavern. No one would notice it at all. Lien Hai tightened his cloak. With a cruel grin on his face, he murmured to himself, "Lin Muyu, this old man is going to see how powerful you are. The human commander that even Qian Feng and Lei Chong, the two marshals, couldn't stop praising you." In the Longdan army camp, deep inside the camp, the commander's tent was still empty. As usual, Lin Muyu was standing outside the tent, absorbing the power of the stars while Situ-san was standing next to her. Following the method taught by Lin Muyu, he began to practice the star arts. However, the first step was to absorb the stars into his body. No matter how hard Situ-san tried, he couldn't absorb the scattered stars into his body. "Commander, this is too difficult. The stars are unpredictable and I'm not familiar with them." Situ-sen was annoyed. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. "Don't worry. In order to absorb the stars into my body, I've been practicing for 3 years. You're still far from it. Take your time. Although it's hard to get started, once you master the star arts, you know how powerful it is." Situ-san lowered his head and continued to stand there, looking up at the starlight. Swoosh! In the wind, a flash of ice fell from the sky. It was a sword, a cold and sharp blade wrapped in frost. F***CK. Situ-sen's body suddenly trembled and he hurriedly leaned back. At the same time, he lifted his battle boots and kicked the wrist of the attacker with the changing heart spell. However, the attacker's speed was faster. The long sword shook lightly, and the Master Devil Force easily neutralized Situ-sen's changing heart spell. The attacker turned and kicked heavily against Situ-sen's kick. Bang! With just one hit, Situ-sen, a third sky of heaven realm expert, spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. His face was pale. "Commander, someone sneak attacked me. I'll leave it to you. I'll go back first." Just as Lien Hai landed on the ground, he felt a chill coming from behind him. Golden light shone brightly. It was Lin Muyu's barehanded starlight strike. It was also the starlight strike that was imbued with the power of the god-binding chains. Bang! He hurriedly turned around and blocked the attack with his sword. However, he was forced back by Lin Muyu's iron fist. The blue starlight shone on a handsome face. Lin Muyu's eyes were cold. "Who are you?" Lien Hai sneered. "Your grandpa of the celestial race is here to take your dog life. Not gonna say my name? Then I'll be a nameless ghost." Lin Muyu's palm grasped in the void. In the next second, the dazzling star lotus armor appeared around her. At the same time, her sword was unsheathed. She raised her hand and slashed at Lien Hai. Light-splitting slash. Chapter 438. Bang! The dragon spirit sword heavily slashed onto the Grandmaster demonic energy, sending out a powerful backlash. However, a ray of light separated from the blade of the sword, passing through the Grandmaster demonic energy and smashing onto Refiner Hai's chest. Immediately, blood blossomed. Refiner Hai had already suffered from the spectral slash due to his carelessness. However, Lien Hai's cultivation was very profound. His skin and muscles were clearly tempered, so the light-splitting slash could only cause light injuries. Just when Lin Muyu was about to retreat, Lien Hai suddenly let out a roar and lowered his body. His right leg was filled with the master-level devil power and kicked out heavily. At the same time, he flipped his body in the air and swept his sword across the air. Lin Muyu did not expect the elder to be able to counterattack so quickly. She raised her knee, which was enveloped by the golden gourd, and forcefully blocked Lien Hai's kick. At the same time, she pulled back her dragon spirit sword and blocked Lien Hai's attack. Ding! The sharp sound of blades clashing against each other made Lin Muyu take a few steps back. The master-level devil power was indeed very powerful. Even though this elder's cultivation was weaker than Qianfeng's, the difference was not that big. "Who are you?" Lin Muyu said faintly. Her entire body was enshrouded in starlight, and golden god-binding chains circled around her body like dragons. Lien Hai said blandly, "I am a member of the Elder Council of the God Race, Lien Hai. Under the order of Marshal Qianfeng, I am here to check if the two princesses are in the human military camp in the Five Valley City." "It seems like you didn't even check, but came directly for me." Lien Hai smiled. "That's right. I want to take your dog life first, then find the two princesses. Then you are destined to be disappointed." Lin Muyu's blade was slightly shaking because of the battle light. She said with a smile, "Everyone, don't do anything. I want to take care of this demon race elder alone. Wei Chou situ shui. Don't shoot unless I can't beat him." Wei Chou had already pulled his demon-devouring bow. "Commander, put it down. If this old guy dares to enter the Longdan army camp, he will not be able to leave alive. We have already surrounded this place. White drill arrows are on standby." Okay." Lin Muyu narrowed her eyes. She knew that the white drill arrow wouldn't be able to kill a high-ranked demon so easily, especially a powerful being like Lien Hai, who possessed master-level demonic power. The rotational force produced by the master-level demonic power could distort the arrow's trajectory, so even the white drill arrow wouldn't be able to harm them. The dragon spirit sword glowed with a brilliant blue light. The first appearance of starlight was ready to be unleashed. At the same time, the seven luminaries' profound energy was stealthily enshrouding the combat boots. Lin Muyu suddenly launched an attack, and with a star step, she flew towards refined ocean and swept her sword horizontally. First appearance of starlight. Lien Hai was stunned. He didn't expect Lin Muyu to arrive so quickly, and the energy on the blade was so vast. He didn't dare to be careless, so he raised his arms and shouted, "Ice Ray!" Streaks of mysterious demonic energy quickly surged onto the blade of the sword, condensing into an icicle that slashed towards the dragon spirit sword. Bang! Fragments of energy flew everywhere. The attack on the blade was evenly matched, but Lin Muyu, who was in the air, took the opportunity to kick Lien Hai's neck. Her ankle was covered with profound energy. 3 luminaries calamity. Lien Hai knew that there was such a kick, but he didn't expect it to be so powerful. His master devil energy was kicked away, and he felt a numbing sensation on his neck. In the celestial capital of the demon race, Lien Hai was a supreme-level expert. Other than the demon emperor, the demon master, Qianfeng, and Lei Chong, he rarely had a worthy opponent. But when he came to the human territory, he met a powerful opponent like Lin Muyu. God knows why he kicked him so hard. Lien Hai was a descendant of the ancient humans, and he had been living in seclusion in the Celestial Gorge for tens of thousands of years. Even though he knew about the 7 luminaries demon emperor, he didn't have the chance to experience the secret art of the 7 luminaries demon emperor. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere. After Lien Hai was hit, he didn't retreat. Instead, he took the initiative to attack with his sword. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Under such a dense attack, Lin Muyu could only use the wall of the bottle gourd and the dragon spirit sword to defend herself. Instantly, she was at a disadvantage. The high-level demon race's swordsmanship was indeed extraordinary. It was far from the human race's swordsmanship on the mainland. Even the imperial sword technique taught by the Sword Elder was inferior to the demon race's swordsmanship. The Grandmaster Demonic Force grabbed the dragon spirit sword like a pair of big hands and threw it away. Clang! The dragon spirit sword was shot into the wall not far away from the commander's tent. "Dan! Commander!" Situ-san shouted in a low voice. His long sword was filled with the energy of the heart-revolving mantra. Even Situ Shui pulled out her dual blades, ready to help at any time. However, Lin Muyu didn't plan to fight with numbers. Otherwise, he would have already ordered thousands of arrows to be shot. Since he had a powerful opponent like Lian Hai as his opponent today, he would make good use of this opportunity to gain some battle experience. This was also what he lacked the most. After all, there were no rules in this world. It was the same when peak experts fought. Whoever survived would be the winner. The world was often like this. Powerful strength lost to experience, and strength was not absolute. Voila! The Chenquin bag shone brightly. Lin Muyu directly took out the pear blossom spear. The tip of the spear was cold. He held the spear with both hands and lightly shook it. The power of the spear expanded, causing the cloak behind him to flutter. For a moment, Situ Shui was a little stunned. She stood there with her mouth wide open. Dumbfounded, she said, "The way the commander uses the spear looks so handsome." Wei Chou touched his nose and said, "It has always been like this." On the other hand, Lian Hai's face was full of smiles. He said lightly, "You want to use the spear against me? Little brat, you are courting death. The celestial race's sword art is the bane of the spear art. Don't you know that? I know your grandma's leg." Lin Muyu suddenly thrust his spear forward. The first style of the dragon-taming spear art, seeking the way. Seeing the spear light, Lian Hai was startled for a second. He hastily took a step back and slapped the spear head with his palm. At the same time, he flipped his wrist and used the hilt of his sword to grab the spear head. Then, he opened his palm and grabbed the pear blossom spear's head like a pair of iron pincers. Lin Muyu also laughed. Suddenly, the pear blossom spear burst with lightning. Boom! An energy storm was created. The strong vibration of the storm shook Lian Hai's hand and the hilt of the sword away. Bastard! Lian Hai's embarrassment turned into anger. He thrust his sword forward. The blade was full of cold light. Lin Muyu secretly applauded. With a light flick of her wrist, the pear blossom spear immediately twisted and turned, coiling around Lian Hai's long sword like a venomous snake, locking spear form. Without waiting for Lian Hai to react, the 7 planets' profound energy within Lin Muyu's body swiftly exploded, pouring all of it into the pear blossom spear, causing the spear's light to shoot up into the sky. One after another, God-binding chains encircled the spear's shaft, and her power exploded towards Lian Hai's chest. The mountain-shaking style's 5 elements 8 desolation power blasted out together. Bang! The air whirlpool shook violently, and the ground exploded. Refiner Hai's body shook violently, and the master-level devil power around his body turned into a cold rain of light that fell down from the sky. His face paled a little as he shouted angrily, "Little bastard? Who are you exactly?" Lin Muyu didn't say anything. She shook her spear and stabbed again. Lian Hai was thoroughly enraged. With a loud roar, the ground around him cracked, and his eyes turned blood red. His dark grandmaster demonic force expanded like never before, and the power of his domain exploded. Just his aura alone was enough to push Lin Muyu back. Sha sha sha. Lin Muyu's battle boots glided on the ground for about 10 meters. Lin Muyu gripped her spear tightly. She felt a domain-level pressure restricting her movements. Lian Hai was finally getting serious. He quickly yelled, "Situ-sen. Wei Chou. Bring everyone back 100 meters away." Yes. Wei Chou and the others obeyed. The 2 powerhouses above the sanctuary realm were finally going to get serious. This was not a joke. Ordinary soldiers were likely to be killed by the impact of their domains. Lin Muyu held her iron spear. The tip of the spear drooped down naturally. Her cloak fluttered wildly in the wind caused by the starlight battle aura around her body to flutter wildly. The pressure of the sacred domain broke through refined sea's restraints with the appearance of the god-binding chains. A golden light bloomed in all directions like an invisible shockwave, colliding with refined sea's demonic domain's pressure. Bang, bang, bang. Under the intense distortion of space, the water vats near and far exploded one by one. Strangely enough, the splashes of water did not fall to the ground, but rose up slowly, as if they were being pulled by some mysterious force. Lin Muyu's aura grew colder and colder. The God-binding chain's martial soul was an innate king martial soul, and it could greatly increase the destructive power of one's attack and the strength of one's domain. It was also because of the existence of these 9 layers of God-binding chains that Lin Muyu was able to withstand the domain pressure of her refined C. Puff! Finally, the impact on Lin Muyu's Qi C was too strong. She spat out a mouthful of blood. On the other hand, refined C was in an even worse state. His face was pale, and the windpipes on his arms, legs, and neck were all cracked. Blood was flowing out of his body. He regretted the fact that he shouldn't have tried to compete with this human cultivator in terms of realm energy. Lin Muyu's eyes were filled with murderous intent. She infused her battle qi into the domain and it became stronger and stronger. 80%, 90%, 100%. Finally, Lian Hai spat out a mouthful of blood. His clothes slowly turned into dust, but he still persisted in activating his Grandmaster demonic force, swearing to fight Lin Muyu to see who was stronger. Lin Muyu gritted her teeth. The 7 planets' profound energy turned into starlight and infused it into the domain. Fight! 6 planets' tribulation. 110%. Liao Hai screamed in pain. His entire right arm was crushed by the domain, and his long sword fell to the ground with a clang. Lin Muyu mercilessly activated the 7 glorious stars' transformation's Xian energy and infused it into her domain, causing the source of energy to exceed its peak. 150%. Bang! A deafening sound rang out. Under the pressure of the domain, Refined C let out a muffled groan as his abdomen exploded. His Qi C had exploded. Chapter 439. Plop! Lian Hai slowly knelt on the ground. His eyes were filled with confusion. Lin Muyu's figure was reflected in his eyes. Shua! An invisible force pulled out the dragon spirit sword from the wall. Lin Muyu dashed towards Lian Hai and with a flash of her sword, Lian Hai's head fell to the ground. The Grandmaster demonic energy flew out of Lian Hai's body and turned into a dark red demonic spirit orb. Lin Muyu immediately grasped it. A demonic spirit orb from a 5-star demonic sect was an absolute treasure for a human cultivator. Refining and absorbing it would at least increase one's cultivation by 1 level. After putting the demonic spirit orb into the Chenkuan pouch, Lin Muyu's body shook unconsciously. The 7 glorious stars' transformation's backlash had hit her. She fell to the ground powerlessly. As expected, the price to pay for killing a 5-star demonic sect was to risk her life. Challenging someone of a higher level was not an easy task. "Commander, are you all right?" Wei Chou flew over. Situ Sen, Situ Shui, Fengxi and the others also surrounded her, their faces full of worry. "I'm fine." Lin Muyu opened her eyes and looked at them. "I'll be fine after resting for a while. The news of my injury cannot be spread. Hang Lian Hai's head on the north gate. I want to see if Chen Feng dares to send people into the 5 Valley City to assassinate me." "Yes." Wei Chou picked up Lian Hai's head. Situ San picked up Lian Hai's sword and said, "It looks pretty good. Commander, can you bestow this sword to me?" "And take it." Lin Muyu nodded. Lian Hai's sword was indeed not bad. It should be at the 1st or 2nd level of the mysterious rank. Its strength was only 2nd to a saint weapon. There should be no lack of blacksmiths in the demon race. Su Jiantao walked up and took off the space bag on Lian Hai's belt. He reached into it and his face was full of joy. "Commander, we found a treasure." Whoosh! It was another sword, and it was of the mysterious grade. It should be Refinement C's spare weapon. Following that, there was a large pile of shiny gold coins, as well as pieces of dark black currency that looked similar to human diamond coins. "What is this?" Lin Muyu was surprised. Su Jiantao smiled and said, "I've seen it before. It's called a demonic crystal coin. It's said that it's the highest currency in the Tongtian Gorge where the demon clan resides. One demonic crystal coin can be exchanged for 10,000 Shin capital coins. Since a Shin capital coin is similar in weight to a Jinin coin, its value should be similar. We're rich then. How many magic crystal coins are there? More than 100. This refining sea must have made a lot of money. Fill them all into the arsenal of the Longden army camp and leave them to General Shui. Yes. Situ Shui smiled happily at the side. She was the king of mercenaries and the leader of the North Ridge mercenary group. She was also a meticulous person who was appointed by Lin Muyu to be the commander of the 3rd Legion of the Longdan army camp. At the same time, she was also the quartermaster of the Longdan army camp, which was equivalent to the housekeeper of the Longdan army camp. Situ Shui loved money, but she trusted Lin Muyu and Situ Sun wholeheartedly. She was the most suitable person for this position. Su Jiantao took out a lot of treasures from the space bag. They were all kinds of spars, gems, and so on. Thinking about it, as a 5-star devil sect, Refining Sea must have lived for a long time, and all the treasures he had plundered over the years were now all given to the Brave Dragon camp. High-level demon clan was indeed rich. After taking out a lot of things and piling them in the tent, Su Jiantao shook the empty dimensional bag and smiled. Commander, this bag. It's yours, hehe. Lin Muyu smiled. A dimensional bag was a rare item. Only the rich and nobles could afford it. When it was almost dawn, the crowd dispersed. Wei Chou and Situ San were in charge of guarding the city, while Su Jiantao and Fengshi were in charge of maintaining law and order in the city. Therefore, Situ Shui personally led a group of guards to stand guard outside the tent to ensure Lin Muyu's safety. Lin Muyu lay on the simple bed. He was no longer sleepy, so he took out the demonic soul bead from his Chenkuan bag. Refining this demonic soul bead could not only improve his cultivation, but it could also speed up the recovery of his injuries. Lin Muyu gently loosened his hand. The demonic soul bead floated above Lin Muyu's chest under the power of the domain realm. He slowly took a deep breath. The treasure refining cauldron descended from the sky. Several exquisite refining flames lingered around the demonic soul bead. Meanwhile, Lin Muyu opened his Qi Si and welcomed the rich spiritual energy contained in the demonic soul bead. The essence of power was actually the same. It came from heaven, earth, the universe, and the spirit. It was the same for the devil cultivators. The power contained in the demonic spirit bead that they derived was pure power. It could be refined and absorbed. After more than 2 hours, the demonic soul bead began to decompose. Strands of blue spiritual energy seeped into Lin Muyu's EC. However, this was external spiritual energy, so it was not easy to absorb. Therefore, while Lin Muyu refined his spiritual energy, he also worked hard to strengthen his Qi Si with the Dragon Forging Bone Remnant Scroll. The Qi Si was like a vast ocean. There was a limit to the amount of spiritual energy it could contain. If one wanted to obtain more power, they would have to expand it. And it just so happened that the Dragon Forging Bone Remnant Scroll was a mysterious martial technique that could expand the Qi Si. In fact, the reason why Lin Muyu was able to reach the realm she had today was thanks to 2 great martial techniques. One was the spiritual pulse technique, which tempered the soul. The other was the Dragon Forging Bone Remnant Scroll, which tempered the Qi Si. After an unknown amount of time, the demonic soul bead left behind by refined Si became smaller and smaller. Most of the spiritual energy had been refined and absorbed by Lin Muyu. However, this process was not equal. Lin Muyu could only refine about 20% of the spiritual energy contained in the demonic soul bead for her own use. The rest had all dissipated into the wind. Moreover, the power contained in the demonic soul bead was less than half of refined Cs. Otherwise, if Lin Muyu killed a few more 5-star demon ancestors, she would be able to step into the god realm. Finally, the last demonic soul bead slowly dissipated into spiritual energy and seeped into Lin Muyu's Qi Si. Lin Muyu took a deep breath. Countless golden battle lights swirled around her body and entered her Qi Si. Her Qi Si was filled with a surging feeling. This was a realm that she had never reached before. Lin Muyu was overjoyed. At the same time, the feeling of weakness brought about by the 7 glorious stars transformation had been mostly dispelled. Unable to contain his joy, he leaped off the bed and let out a low shout. In an instant, streaks of fiery red battle lights surrounded him, making him look extremely domineering and powerful. Brilliant sun battle lights. He had already stepped into the peak of the first heavenly layer of the Saint Realm, and was only a step away from the second heavenly layer. Hua! When he walked out of the tent, the sunlight was extremely dazzling. Outside, Situ Shui was leading a group of guards to stand guard. She couldn't help but smile and ask, "Commander, have you recovered from your injuries?" Lin Muyu nodded and asked, "General Shui, what day is it today?" "April 16th. Ah, Lin Muyu couldn't help but be taken aback. "I've already cultivated for 2 days and 2 nights? That's right." Situ Shui pursed her lips and smiled, saying, "I'll immediately have the people of the spiritual fire department cook and send it over to you." "Commander, you haven't eaten anything for so long, you must be starving." Hearing her words, Lin Muyu actually felt something. The feeling of having an empty stomach and rumbling hunger was not a good feeling. Not long after, the spiritual fire department sent over delicious food. Five Valleys City was rich in resources, and the Longdan army camp's life here was also quite good. This time, there was an additional meal for the commander. There were 2 fragrant roasted chickens, a steamed white fish, and 2 stir-fried side dishes, all of which were served in a common copper basket in the camp. Lin Muyu wolfed down the food, sweeping it all away. Then, while drinking the soup, she asked, "General Shui, how is the situation with the demons?" "It's not very optimistic." Situ Shui pursed her red lips and said, "Ever since Commander ordered to hang Lianhai's head on the city gate, the demon race began to attack the city. In these 3 days, it was the 4th time they attacked the city and consumed a lot of our arrows. Moreover, Lianhai's head was personally taken away by Qianfeng. Elder brother ordered not to stop them." "It's right not to stop them. All of you are not Qianfeng's opponent. And, also," Situ Shui knelt down beside Lin Muyu, like a well-behaved maid, and said with a smile, "Yu Shu reported that Lei Chong led the main force of the 2nd Demon Army to leave the steel walls of Iha country and cross the Qinling Mountains a day ago. About 110,000 armor demons are rushing towards Five Valleys City. According to the speed of the armor demons, they will reach Five Valleys City within 10 days. We cannot stay here for too long." "I got it." Lin Muyu nodded and said, "Order the local military staff of Five Valleys City to make a sand table. I want a specific sand table of the entire Cangnan province. The more detailed, the better. It must be completed within half a day." "Yes." When Lin Muyu climbed up the northern city wall, Wei Chou, Situ San and the others respectfully saluted. Wei Chou said with a smile, "It seems that Commander's complexion has recovered well." "Yes. How is the situation?" Lin Muyu asked with a smile. Situ San pointed to the north and said, "Darren, how far can you see as far as you can see?" 20 miles away. Then in a place further away, the demon race has built dozens of mud cities. Each city has thousands of demon troops. Our road back to Lanyan City has been cut off. Is it Qianfeng who ordered to build the city? Other than him, who else would it be? Situ Sun touched his nose and said resentfully, "In another 10 days, the 2 demon legions will attack Five Valleys City from the front and back. At that time, we will definitely die without a burial place." "Yes." Lin Muyu let out a long sigh and said, "Have you received Commander Feng Jixing's reply? Is there any news from Her Highness Yin's side?" "General Feng's letter has arrived, telling us to exchange information at any time. There is no news from Her Highness Yin's side. It is chaotic, but the main force of the demon race is attracted to Five Valleys City by us. I believe that Her Highness Yin will be fine with Princess Shi's protection." "Yes." Lin Muyu unfolded the map and looked at it. "How close is the Rice River Valley to Five Valleys City?" 3 miles. Wei Chou said, "Every night, send people out to dig and bring the water from Rice River to the city." "Yes." Chapter 440. In the evening, the Nephilim attacked the city again, leaving behind hundreds of Jia demons' corpses before fleeing. It seemed that Qianfeng did not intend to attack the city by force, or perhaps he had other plans. In the Nephilim camp, a group of high-ranking military officers were waiting for their orders. Qianfeng placed his palm on a cup of tea, feeling the steam. He asked without raising his head, "Is there any news about the two princes?" "Not yet." Lian Xiao cupped his fist. The princes were captured by the Imperial Navy's warship. The warship was sailing on the Dao River. When our winged people found it, there was no one on board. "Humph!" Qianfeng lightly slapped the table and said, "If we can't find the two of them, then we can just wait to lose our heads together. Also, when will the Ho army arrive?" "Those water ghosts?" Lian Zhao's expression was a bit disdainful. "Horseshoe people are born stupid. They don't know how to communicate. So there is no news of them for the time being. But 2 months ago, they reached the eastern shallow sea area of Lingdong province. If they didn't get lost, they should have entered the Dao River basin of Cangnan province, sharpening small, sharp blades. "Commander, what do you need these for?" "To equip the Ho army." Qianfeng lightly said, "Lin Muyu has begun to excavate the Dao River. Needless to say, he knew that we were building a city and gave up on the land, so he plans to retreat through the Dao River. Hehe, if he really wants to retreat through the water, then he is courting death. The Ho army can easily cut through any imperial ship. I want Lin Muyu to lose his reputation on the Dao River. Quickly arrange for the weapons to be forged, and contact the Ho people. Tell them to hold their breath. Don't show their heads, otherwise Lin Muyu's eyes and ears will be able to sense them." "Yes." Note: Ho underwater swordtail. In the western part of the Five Valleys city, a huge iron gate that was laid flat on the ground slowly opened, bringing with it a thick cloud of dust. Under the illumination of the torch, Lin Muyu calmly stepped into the ground under the protection of Wei Chou, Situ San, Situ Shui, and the others. The original Chili Arch of Five Valley City, Zhao Ritian, held up the torch and said respectfully, "This shipyard was built 300 years ago. Because it's hidden underground, very few people know about it except for the governor. We only discovered it recently." The underground space was very spacious. In the distance, warships could be seen stranded on the ground. The water in the underground shipyard had long dried up. "When did you find out?" Lin Muyu asked. "Just this morning. A few children accidentally discovered this place when they were playing. This subordinate has protected this place very well and has not touched it at all." "Really?" Lin Muyu looked at the footprints on one of the warships and could not help but smile to herself. She said, "Come, let's go on the ship and have a look." When everyone boarded the first warship, they realized that it was filled with chests. Wei Chou walked forward and pried open the first chest. Golden light shone brightly inside. It was actually filled with Jin coins. "Oh my God!" Situ Shui's beautiful eyes were about to burst out with golden light. Zhao Ritian said, "These warships belong to Hu Tianning." "I see." Lin Muyu smiled. It should be Hu Tianning who wanted to use the warships to transport the gold coins out of Five Valley City. In the end, he was secretly shot and killed by my father before he could leave Five Valley City. Let's count how many Jinhuan coins there are here. Wei Chou counted silently and said, "Madam, these warships are filled with Jinhuan coins. From the looks of it, there are at least 20 million Jinhuan coins." Situ Shui could not help but laugh. "Wow, we're really rich this time," Lin Muyu said. "These are all illegally obtained by Hu Tianning from the gold mines. We can't touch them. Wei Chou, send someone to move all the gold coins off the warships. We need to use these warships to escape. We can't bring so many Jinhuan coins with us." "Ah, Commander, don't want it? Don't you want the money?" Situ Shui was a little unhappy. Lin Muyu could not help but look at her with a smile. "General Shui, don't worry. Just not for the time being. After we defeat the demons, this place will naturally be our territory. It won't be too late to come back and move it." Wei Chou took a deep breath and said, "Madam, forgive me for being blunt. This five-valley city was originally ruled by Xiangyu, so it's equivalent to Duke Lan's territory. However, Xiangyu and Duke Lan's generals have basically all died in battle. If we leave, it's best to leave some people to guard Five Valley City. This way, after we defeat the demons, Five Valley City will be ours. Our surname is Qin and not Tang. That's what I was thinking. Lin Muyu nodded. Choose one Chiliarch from the Longdan army camp to be the commander of the army in Five Valley City. Zhao Ritian will be appointed as the deputy commander. Then choose 10 centurions to be the Chiliarchs of Five Valley City. Integrate all the city guards and security forces in Five Valley City. In the future, this army will only listen to me and Her Majesty. Wei Chou smiled and nodded. I will do it immediately. Late at night, the underground dock was bustling with activity. The people from the Longdan army camp were moving boxes of Jinhuan coins at lightning speed. They also brought water from Daojiang and launched nearly 50 warships in the dock. They were only waiting for Lin Muyu to give the order to retreat from this dangerous place. After all, no one was willing to stay here and wait for death. In the commander's tent, Situ Shui personally held a candle and followed behind Lin Muyu to illuminate the terrain on the sand table. Lin Muyu looked at it again and again. Finally, his gaze fell on a basin between Five Valley City and Lai City. He pressed his index finger on it and asked, "Where is this?" A military advisor from Five Valley City cupped his fists and said, "Reporting to Commander, this basin is called Wildfire Plain. What's the altitude?" 1025 meters. What's the altitude of Daojiang River? 10 meters. According to the current season, it should be 1024 meters. That's too low. Lin Muyu frowned and said, "How high are the embankments on both sides of Daojiang River?" It's 100 meters higher than the water surface. It was built by the order of the Radiant King 20 years ago. Oh. Lin Muyu couldn't help but feel excited. He looked up at the sky and said, "Father helped me again." "Commander, what do you mean?" Situ Shui was at a loss. Lin Muyu smiled and didn't say anything. He continued to ask, "Advisor, how big is the area of Wildfire Plain? How is it compared to the amount of water in Daojiang River?" The advisor frowned and said, "This needs to be measured. Otherwise, this subordinate wouldn't dare to speak nonsense. There's no time to measure. Tell me what you think is the most accurate ratio." "Yes." The advisor cupped his fists and said, "Commander, the water basin of Daojiang River is very wide and rapid. According to the area of Wildfire Plain, if you want to store 1 meter of water in Wildfire Plain, you need to store at least 3 meters of water in Daojiang River and water it for half an hour. According to Commander's strategy, if you want to implement it, you need to store at least 5 meters of water in Wildfire Plain. Therefore, you need to store 3 meters of water in Daojiang River and water it for half an hour. Moreover, this is only an optimistic estimate." "I understand." Lin Muyu nodded his head in approval. "You've worked hard. You can't tell anyone about this. Once you succeed, you'll have made a great contribution. I thank Commander for your guidance." Lin Muyu looked at the terrain on the sand table again. The advisor smiled and pointed at the Daojiang River and said, "This place is only 5 miles away from Lai City, where Commander Feng Jixing is stationed. There used to be a dam here. It was called the Lai City Dam. Later on, it was pushed down. However, there are still some mud bricks left. If we use 100,000 soldiers and civilian workers, we can build the dam in 3 days." "Good." Lin Muyu slapped the table and said, "Get a pen and paper. I want to write a letter to Brother Feng." Situ Shui listened with a blank face and said, "Yes. Also, pass down my order. Look for light wood in Five Valleys City. Every soldier in Longdan army camp must carry a piece of light wood. The size of the wood must be big enough to float on the water." "Yes." The next morning, the messenger bird Little White flapped its wings and landed on the window sill of a small courtyard in Lai City. It chirped a few times. A female staff of the elixir department gently carried Little White and knocked on the door. "Great Deacon, the messenger bird is here." "Really? Chu Yao got up and excitedly took the messenger bird from the female staff. Lin Muyu's handwriting could be clearly seen on the letter, even though it was for Feng Jixing. Let's go. Follow me to see General Feng. Yes. She put on the cloak of the elixir department's great deacon and galloped to the south of Lai City. In the casualty camp, many soldiers who were injured in the battle with the demons were recuperating. Meanwhile, Feng Jixing was inspecting the training in the shooting range. When Chu Yao arrived, Feng Jixing immediately turned around and said, "What's wrong, Yao? You have sent a letter. Quick, let me see it." Yes. Feng Jixing opened the letter and read every word carefully. His face couldn't help but be filled with excitement. "What did you say, General Feng?" "Ha ha ha." Feng Jixing laughed. His eyes were full of fighting spirit as he said, "In this world, I'm afraid only you can think of such a crazy strategy. Men, immediately gather all the cloth bags and sacks in the city. Take out all the cloth and make them into sandbags and fill them with sand. Use all the manpower we can and do it immediately. This is the highest order of Lai City and even the Empire." "Yes, Commander." Feng Jixing looked in the direction of the Five Valleys city in the south and said, "I hope it will succeed this time. As long as it succeeds, you will have made a great contribution." "What exactly is it?" Chu Yao asked unwillingly. Feng Jixing looked at her dotingly and smiled. "It's a military secret. I can't tell you. When we succeed, Yao will naturally understand." Chu Yao was Chu Huayin's younger sister, and Feng Jixing was Chu Huayin's best friend. Perhaps unknowingly, Feng Jixing had already treated Chu Yao as his own younger sister. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.